Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Free League Twitch channel. We are Telling Tales RP on Twitch, and we're running this lovely series, Fetters of Stone, a Simbroom series, for you here. Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back for episode 3. Before we go any further, let's briefly bring on our stream manager, Steve, just because he does such hard work, and also so no one kind of yelps and tilts comically backwards away from their monitor when he suddenly appears and tells us that the world is ending or something.
It happens.
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Hi there. I'm fine. I shall put the background on as well. There we go.
Hey, there we go. Lovely. So Steve will be monkeying away in the background, kind of in the chat, moving around images, doing initiative orders, moving around cams, all that fun stuff like that. So we'll wave goodbye to him now and hopefully never see him again. There we go. I mean, tonight, not in general. So, like I say, we're Telling Tales. Welcome to Fetters of Stone. I normally do a bit of promo stuff, but we'll keep it to a minimum because we're not on our own channel. But if you head to our Twitch at Telling Tales RP, you'll find a bunch of links there. You know, the usual stuff. Our YouTube, where all our VODs are stored, our social media, our Discord, our Patreon, all that kind of thing. We run 3 weekly games, and at the moment that's Call of Cthulhu on Mondays and Blades in the Dark on Tuesdays. And this Wednesday we're actually starting a new game of Coriolis, also by Free League. And they all start at 8 o'clock in the evening BST, so get yourself over there if you're interested in that. We run monthly one-shots, kind of one-hit stories that are usually a bit longer. The one we did yesterday, in fact, of the Expanse RPG was very much longer. It was a mammoth stream, and that's still in VOD form over on our Twitch if you want to check that out. And the other thing we run, I was thinking in my head as I was doing all that, what's the other thing we run? There's definitely something else we run that I should tell people about. And then I realized it's this. And I don't need to tell you about that because you're right here. But yeah, let's crack on. We have a bunch of lovely players. We're going to bring them on one by one, and they can give us a recap of where they are and what has happened in the story to this point. Specifically, last episode, broadly speaking, we're following a group of sellswords from Mother Mahira's agency as they are following or moving along with a caravan led by Mariol Kohinoor as they enter into Davokar and are going after some kind of ruin of some kind, although there's a question mark over what their destination is and what they will find when they get there. But let's introduce our first player. Let's introduce John, who plays Arendar, a Ambrian noble and duelist. Hi, John. What happened last time? Where we started last time, you were in a bit of a pickle.
I was. We started with a nasty encounter with what appeared to be a large mass of sentient bog water. Bog in the swampy sense and not the British colloquialism.
Not the British colloquial sense, no. That would
we finally managed to dispatch it with flaming brands and arrows and such like, but not before Aaron and Garrick got pulled into its swirling mass of water.
I think it was actually Shuglud.
Shuglud, yes.
Shuglud got drawn in as well, but
he was one of the goblins.
Aaron got the worst of it for sure.
But yeah, thankfully I was quickly checked for brain damage by a fantastic medic, and we continued on our journey, slightly wetter.
Fortunately, obviously, expeditions into Davokar these days have much better concussion protocol than they used to. So that went all right. Next up, let's bring our next player on, who is Elle, who's playing Farah, a human who may or may not have some kind of storied past. And Elle's going to tell us basically what happened as you left the swamp.
Yeah, so obviously close encounters of the watery kind happened. I gave Aaron a quick look over. I think it was me. I think I have Medicus. I definitely have Medicus. Anyway, we trudged on for a bit and we came to the village of, oh gosh, I've completely forgotten that Zarek, is it?
The Zarek are the tribe it belongs to, yeah.
Yeah, so we came to Barbarian, I believe, is it? Village.
Yeah, they are a barbarian.
Yeah, so the Barbarian clan, Zarek people. We noticed that they kind of have similar kind of facial markings, paintings, etc. to our guide Elmira. So we were hoping that maybe we could get in there a little bit. We managed to negotiate a place to stay for the night and rest up and heal, thankfully, because some of us needed it more than others. And yeah, we just kind of all sat around the campfire swapping stories on the evening, because the stories didn't directly involve Thera. I can't exactly remember who told what whom.
No, but you know what? I think the biggest interaction that was had involved our next player, who's going to talk through a recap. It's almost as if I think these things out. So let's bring on Alex, who plays Vardamar, a wandering barbarian mystic. And Alex, why don't you tell us about the rest of the evening there?
So on approach to the village, we were pretty suspiciously sized up by a lot of the barbarians there, and after asking around a bit, it became clear that there were a lot of problems to be had with a group of rival barbarians who were just tolling around on an Ambrian boat and raiding and pillaging, and this particular barbarian village would really love to see them gone. And so it was put to us, I think, in the morning by Mariel after some discussion and negotiation that in exchange for some supplies and some cool kit, if we made that particular problem go away by hunting down those barbarians, we could get some really cool stuff to make our journey a little bit easier. So we set off and had a brilliant plan, like a flawlessly laid out, meticulously executed plan that went perfectly, as I recall.
Absolutely. And to talk through that, let's bring on Chris, who plays Garar, one of the goblins of the Varaguldru tribe. Talk to us about how you found those pesky Zarek pirates and what happened when you did, Chris.
So we got a pair of boats on loan from the village for this purpose, and we kind of split into two groups. And the goblins, being somewhat undesirable, kind of and keen to keep to ourselves a bit, picked a boat for ourselves, while the Ambrians took the other boat. The goal was taking a bit of a recce down the coast to find out what was going on here on these various islands. And the tip off we got that kind of led to this was actually from the servants of Prios, the priests who had come along with us, and they said that they'd spotted this boat a few days back before they themselves came a cropper, for want of a better word. And they gave us some instructions on roughly what island we were looking for, as there's a lot of little lake isles on the shores of Volgoma. So we went for a bit of a sail, and we did eventually spot this boat. So we brought ourselves up. It is at anchor off an island. So we brought ourselves into the shadow of that island and started making a plan. And the plan was kind of decided that the goblins were going to go one way around the island and kind of make the first attack, and everyone else was going to go around the other side, and we would serve as a distraction for everyone else coming in and delivering the crippling blow. So around the island we went. Gara disembarked along with the other scout lady and decided to make our way across. I mean, I say an island, this thing is tiny. It's an islet, I suppose. So we made our way across on foot to kind of get the fastest view of the place and kind of decide what the state of play was. And we found the place. We found a deserted cabin as well on the island, which seems to have been recently burnt out. And then, we kind of took up position and prepared to engage. And the goblins came round headed around the island first, and I took the opportunity to jump back on the boat after being talked out of taking a shot of opportunity from the shore. And then we made ready to make our attack as the goblins, through a feast of unfortunate rolls and delightful roleplay misadventure. We were in full-on charge and attack mode, And only by saving the day at the very last minute did we realize that a noble death is not one gained by getting swatted off the side of a boat by 20 men with spears.
Yeah, you kind of realised there were more of these Zareks on this ship than you had perhaps anticipated at first. And as the Ambrian's boat came around the other side of the island, discretion was decided to be the better part of valor. And you made your excuses that you were but humble fisher goblins. And a return to shore, and then I believe we closed on a last bit of advice from Vlador, the dwarf who's accompanied the expedition, as he sharpened his twin blades and said that perhaps an attack that's more stealthy at night would be advantageous. And that's the recap, pretty much. Eagle-eyed regular viewers will have noticed that we're missing Sam at the moment, who plays Shugled. Sam is joining us, we hope, but is currently running late from kind of private matters, non-horrible private matters. So we were hoping he'd be here for his recap, and we'd kind of, things would happen, and we'd just ninja him into that recap and go, yeah, nothing was wrong. But no, he's not here yet. But hopefully he will join us soon. So we will just kick off without him. So with that in mind, we'll pick up the action, I think, as the sun is going down, as the night is creeping in on the shores of Lake Volgoma, the edge of Davokar, and you are perhaps gathered round those two boats pulled onto the stony shoreline, and maybe some plan of action is to be proposed. And rather than kind of everyone discuss it, because obviously there's a lot of NPCs here as well, and I don't want to be talking like every other sentence and talking to myself and stuff. What kind of things will people have been proposing?
So I believe I would have been proposing any sort of plan that is minimal combat, and any plan that wasn't whatever the hell the goblins were just doing. What was it? I think we initially decided a mixture of deceit, trickery, and
there was no plan. There literally was no initial plan. No. It was just you were going to go scout out, and then the goblins were like, "Oh, let's just all attack now without telling the other group." So
I think Farah will suggest an actual scout at night, in which people scout and actually report back before, and the goblins aren't the scouting party.
Sounds like a lot of work.
I think. I'm torn between being pretty hurt by all this and also fair play the plan. And there was a plan. We did decide that there was going to be a two-pronged attack and the goblins were going to be a distraction. That was discussed.
It absolutely was. You're right. I think the idea was, though, that it wasn't going to happen immediately then as soon as you saw the ship.
Well, but they should have,
we didn't clarify that was on us.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I have it in the minutes right here after.
So probably a little bit more scolded. The goblins will be a little quieter in this situation.
I think someone, possibly me or possibly an NPC, suggested setting fire to the ship.
Yes, I do
and if
remember
they didn't,
that.
and I'm suggesting it now.
Boats do hit fire.
Did the Zarek want their boat back?
It's not their boat.
It's not their boat?
No, it seems to. It's an Ambrian boat. They don't know where they got it from.
Cool.
They may, the Zarek may want their possessions and money back, though.
Do we believe they're on said boat?
You have no idea. You know that village, for example, has not been raided itself, but they said that many of the settlements and groups up and down that coast of Volgoma have been. So
I think Vardamar would propose using one of his less sociable abilities to bend the will of his enemies, and at night, while looking for some scout, perhaps take command of him and maybe do something very attention-grabbing and dramatic, like setting fire to the sails when no one knows what's going on, cause a lovely ruckus to distract them away from the fact that we're slowly killing everybody else in the fringes.
Sure.
Seems like the kind of thing you would propose.
Sure.
That seems like the most solid plan so far.
So for the NPCs part, Iaso, the large bodyguard of Mariol, doesn't seem too interested in getting involved in the planning process. Elmea suggests kind of like, whatever you do, if you want to be able to be on the ship and maybe loot the ship and get things off, she suggests simply, basically as soon as anything starts going wrong on the deck of that ship, it's very likely that they will become fully aware that an attack is underway. So she suggests the boats that you have trying to approach stealthily, and then hopefully you can have some people on the deck when things start kicking off. Otherwise, getting on could be a problem. You're clambering up while people are hacking away at you from above. Vlador, the dwarf, seems to be... He's not speaking a great deal, but he seems to be just happy that it's night, and also a couple of the times while Elmea is suggesting the stealthy attack, is kind of nodding in approval. And the goblins will follow whatever Shuglid and Garah suggest. I think that's everyone, right? That's everyone. Yeah, because Aurel isn't there, right, Farah? Yeah.
Yeah, we left him in the safety of the village.
Yeah, so that's everyone. There we go. I've covered everyone. It's good. Yes.
All right. So I will. I'm assuming, I'm just going to say that Vlador's just given his agreement to stealthy plan, and so I will speak up and just voice my agreement loudly and say, yes, stealth is best. The least casualties we have, the better. I just want to get this over and done with.
Elmea kind of nods and says, well then, perhaps we try and get aboard as soon as their watchman catches wind of us. The mystic tries to bend them to his will, maybe set fire to the sails, but we'll have to be cautious about not being on a burning ship.
I'm hoping it's not an all-consuming blaze and is just enough of a distraction to keep them occupied. Is there a way from the shore, is there a dock that would easily get us onto the boat as well, rather than grappling hooking onto the boat from our smaller ones?
No, there's no kind of easy way aboard, but it's a small enough ship with kind of Chris, you'll know what's the kind of, you'll just probably say rigging, Matt. What's the kind of, when there's rope rigging on the outside of a ship? I may be just thinking this exists because it exists in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but a way to climb up the side.
Oh, yeah. I think, what's the proper word for them? They're cargo nets, but there's a better word that escapes me at the minute.
Okay. Well, let's use cargo nets. Sure, there's cargo nets kind of pinned to the side of the ship. Once you're in a boat, you'd struggle from the water itself, but in a boat to be standing up, you can climb up the side of that ship. It's not a huge ship. It's not like a galleon or something, but it's like a modern yacht, but obviously not a modern yacht, but that size. Whereas you're in rowboats. So is that generally a plan that people are sort of agreeing with? Is there any objections to that? Do the goblins just want to
die,
start shouting when they're about 10 feet away to announce their presence or anything like that? Chris is ignoring my goblin shade there. That's fine.
Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, they're actually called Jacob's Ladder. Okay, that's kind of cool and weird. Sure.
Farah is obviously, she's already voiced. Yeah, I've already voiced my agreement, and less fighting equals better. Must get back to Aurel ASAP.
Absolutely. All right then. Well, it seems like everyone's in rough agreement of this. How are we going to split these two boats again? Is it again going to be kind of goblins in one, humans in another, or other people?
It did work
No.
so well last time.
Can I make a little sort of suspension of disbelief breaking suggestion? Maybe it is suggested by the group that the goblins, who are somewhat rash and mildly, yearning for danger and lack of personal safety, and it is suggested that perhaps the group is kind of scattered apart, and coincidentally, given the numbers of people, perhaps one boat is given to the 5-player characters, and that just makes my job easier, so much easier. Please say yes.
That seems
I
like
think that we should do the worst possible thing for Matt's GMing.
If we all split the party 5 ways at least, this will go so well.
Each
How
of
about
you
all-
swim.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
But
kind of fine, I suppose.
All right. Well, I think that makes sense, and that puts. Well, you know what? Elmea can go with you as well, because I think that's then even if you have one extra. So if Elmea goes with you as the most likable NPC, then that that helps, right? So in that case, Elmea suggests waiting for it to get kind of even darker until the late watches of the evening. And you slowly start to kind of paddle out. Obviously, you have no lights. There are stars in the sky that are reflected on the still waters of Volgoma, but it is remarkably dark. Ahead of you, you can see a kind of looming shadow of the island. And as you slowly paddle kind of around the edges of that, I'm assuming we're still going for the same plan of kind of a 2-pronged thing. So let's say your group is going around the kind of sort of southerly side of the island where the goblins went last time, and as you round that headland, you can see ahead of you, like the only reason you can even see where the ship is because there's a very soft torchlight that presumably the one watchman is using as they pace back and forward across the deck, slowly and stopping a great deal, and they don't seem to be hugely doing their job particularly well. But out of interest, who do we think out of our group will be the main? Who do we think will be the main person directing the direction of the boat? And kind of, not everyone needs to be rowing. So let's pick one person to be kind of steering and 2 people to be rowing, shall we? And you can nominate Elmea for this as well. So what do we
None
think?
of them.
Sure.
I'm just none of them.
I'll take an oar. I think I have a decent discreet.
Sure. You're on mute, Alex.
Sauce. I think I could steer at least, since my strength is so poor that my rowing would probably send us backwards. So you could at least take that position.
Sure.
I think Aaron would volunteer for the rowing, but if other quieter people get there ahead, then they will probably take priority.
Sure.
Aaron will just, I don't know, curl up somewhere on the boat and wait for sword fighting.
Well, you're the other person here, Aaron. So I think you should definitely take one of those oars.
All right.
Because otherwise it's just Shugled or Elmea. So Elmea is at the prow of the boat and is kind of like leaning forward, ready to kind of grasp onto the cargo netting, the Jacob's ladder on the side of the ship as soon as she can. And why don't we have a discreet roll? So if Vardamar is the one steering, then why doesn't Vardamar make that roll? But there's some adjustments to this. I'm going to give it a raw just +2 because it's extremely dark. But also the 2 on the oars. What is your discreet, Vardamar?
Not good. It's a 7.
Does either Aaron or Gerard have a better discreet? Yeah.
Mine is 9.
So yes, then.
Yes.
In that case, take another +2.
Okay. So that's 11 for the 2
Yes.
+2s, right? Okay.
Well, it's a +4 altogether. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know we've done a bad job when the GM's like nerfing like any possible
no,
bad
it
things.
would be the intention. It would be the intention.
I sense punishment later. Unfortunately, that's a 12.
Do you feel it's a roll significant enough that you want to spend an XP for a re-roll?
I kind of do, because this is the whole hinge of the plan here.
Sure.
So would I burn just one of those?
Yep, just burn an XP and then make your re-roll.
Yeah.
This is a nice little optional rule for anyone watching at home. It's in the core book, I remember.
Yeah, it's an optional rule in the core book.
That's more like it. That's a 7.
There we go.
Okay.
Would have made it even without the pluses. So
just.
So you have no idea how the boat is doing on the other side, but you basically row yourself up to the stern of this ship, and Elmea kind of vanishes off into the darkness so fast. She just, overhand like grabs and pulls herself up and over the railing. Right, Vardamar, I'd say, unless the 2 people on the oars. This is how I imagine it, just in the boat, right? Is that Farah would be the next person free to go up, then the 2 people rowing, and then Vardamar. But it's entirely up to you if other people want to kind of move out of the way. There's enough room for that on the boat.
I think
Yeah,
the only
I
reason-
would. Yeah,
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, yeah, Farah would be happy to be one of the first people up there, because whoever moves up, because she hasn't done any other work.
Sure, absolutely.
I think the only reason Vardamar would go earlier is if we think there's a good chance that the Watchman would spot us on the way up and give us away, so that if he could bend Will early and just keep that Watchman quiet while we took position, that'd be the only reason worth going up faster than that.
Sure. We're about to get a Sam in a moment. He just needs to change his nameplate, and then we're good to go. Wonderful. There we are.
Hello.
Ooh, Sam, can you get your pronoun in there? No worries.
Yep.
So Sam's looking very smart in his work clothes there. I like that.
This is how I always roleplay, Matt. I don't know what
Yeah, absolutely. So Sam, you've arrived at a fairly opportune moment, as the group is literally clambering aboard this ship for a nighttime attack. So
Perfect.
that's
Quietly.
sort of. So the idea is you're all in one boat, or rather, all the player characters and Elmea are in one boat. Everyone else is in the other boat, and Elmea is literally the discreet roll to sneak up on the ship has been made after an XP to reroll, and now Elmea is just clambering aboard, and Farah is about to do the same. So Farah, why don't you give me, please, a discreet roll?
I will indeed give you a discreet roll. What do I have to get? I have to get 10. And I got a 20.
Uh-oh.
Do you wanna? I keep offering this. You don't have to.
Well, yeah,
But
no, I mean,
do
no,
you-
but without trying to game it a little bit, because this is obviously a more one-off sort of thing. What
Mhm.
else are we going to use experience for? Also, for people
Hey,
who didn't.
these characters might come back at some point. You never know.
True, but yeah, for people who obviously didn't make Farah, so everyone who's not me, if Farah rolls a natural 20, she has she may have an epileptic fit.
Oh
So-
God, yeah, I forgot about
So-
Farah's epilepsy.
Yes,
So-
so I am most
Maybe it's
definitely.
a good idea.
Imagine having a fit halfway through trying to climb up some rigging
While collapsing back into the boat and
really loudly.
yeah.
It'd be great.
Right.
I seem, I don't want to spend an XP. Yeah, I'm going to burn an XP to re-roll that.
Sure. I mean, it's actually worth it even if you fail again, as long as you don't get a 20.
As long as I don't get a 20, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's do that again, shall we? Once more with feeling. 16, so I still fail,
Okay.
but not horrendously.
Not to that point. So Farah scambles up these cargo nets on the outside of the ship, and as you do so, it turns out those cargo nets, some of them were living up to their namesake and were storing cargo, and stuff had been kind of stuffed under them. As you do so, your foot dislodges something. You don't know what it is. You'll never know what it is, but it splashes down into Lake Volgoma with a fairly loud sound. And as you come over the guardrail, you hear the watchman of the Varaks further over the deck kind of turn around and go, "Oh, attack, attack!"
So he's definitely seen me.
Yeah, he's definitely seen you. So
Okay.
at this stage, basically those discrete rolls were basically going to be, as we go into the combat, who is on the ship and who is not. So with that in mind, Steve, could we get our initiative up, please?
Is that everyone versus Farah?
And Elmea at the moment, and maybe people
And
from the
Elmea.
other boat. You don't know how successfully they've done it, whether they've screwed it up as much as you guys.
We are just a party of failures. We're like an entire party of Anton.
Oh, Anton. So there we go. There are our initiative orders. So Garar goes first, and I'm assuming Garar wants to get up onto that deck.
Yes, please. I will dispense with all pretense and go up as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. So getting up onto the deck is 2 movement actions of climbing, unless you make a quick roll, in which case you can do it and then have your combat action free from the deck.
Cool. I will take the quick roll attempt.
Go for it.
I needed a 15. I rolled an 18.
There we go. So Garar is still basically scrambling up, and he's just kind of coming over the edge of the guardrail now. That captain listing, that is the Varak captain, who you can see now, Farah. You can see this deck. Most of the pirates were just sleeping rough on the deck, in kind of maybe in bedrolls or just on bundled up netting and boxes, and they're kind of rousing themselves, kind of all grabbing shields and weapons and trying to get up to their feet. You can see a commotion on kind of the other side of the group of them. You can see, and you see kind of you see like above the mass of these pirates, you can see a huge long axe raise and lower itself, and kind of the sound of violence erupting on the other side. So clearly the other boat has also arrived as well. And you also see bursting out from the hatch that leads down further into the bowels of the ship, you see an extremely large Varak, clad in Ambrian style scale mail, but with very kind of L has crashed. There we go. Basically, a very large Varak who seems to be in charge and is roaring orders, wearing Ambrian scale mail and wielding an enormous battle axe comes bursting out from that hatch. And of course, now it is L's turn. So and then the pirates, which would affect L. So let's jump over those and go straight to Aaron. We are having tremendous luck with this stream so far. Aaron, what are you doing? Are you trying to get on board that ship?
Yes, and rolling the quick check to do it in 1 movement. Was that
Yes,
the thing?
if that's what you want to do. Yes, please.
Yes. Nope, I do not manage that.
Okay, you're still scrambling up that guardrail then.
Okay.
Shuglud.
I think I'll also take the quick roll to try and get up as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'll need a 10, and I roll a 1. Nice.
Nice. There we go. I would say then that you find yourself up on the deck of the ship. There are a number of pirates kind of dashing towards where your group is coming up, all wielding kind of shields and weapons, axes and blades. They seem very, very keen on kind of assaulting you, and one of them is close enough for you to attack. And you know what? Based on your 20, let's say that you're flanking them.
Nice.
and they
I
kind of
will-
haven't noticed you coming aboard.
I will definitely attack. I'll use my twin attack if possible to get 2 hits on them. Can I also berserk at this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. I will definitely do that.
Would be
And don't
rude
forget
not
as
to.
well, because you're flanking, you get +2 on the attack roll as well.
Okay. What do I need to?
Oh, their defense is a -3. Sorry, yeah, I should have said that.
a
So
-3. Okay, so that
yeah,
makes it.
so you get a -1 in total on the attack roll.
Okay, I'll need a 14, and I got an 8, so I hit.
Nice, and that's your first one, right? You get 2. Do you get 2 attacks on them? Yeah,
This one is the D8 one. Plus,
sure. Plus a D4 for your flank.
And plus a D6 for berserk.
Oh yeah. Oh, how I missed berserkers.
Sorry,
Oh,
but
that's
everything broke. I have no
That's
idea what
okay.
happened, but everything broke.
That's okay. We'll just put Farah and the pirates at the end of the queue for this round.
Thanks.
So how much damage was that? Was that with the first strike then, Shuglud?
Yeah. I roll a 9 in total.
So that's pretty strong. So that gets reduced by their armor, which is they're just kind of wearing kind of patchy furs and leathers. You've gone over their pain threshold,
All right.
so you immediately get either you can knock them prone or get a free attack. How does twin attack have to be against the same target?
Let me read what I've got. I think it doesn't, but perhaps it does. Oh yeah, it does have to be against the same target.
Okay, just so this free attack, it's interesting because you might want to knock them prone because another free attack might, or you might want to just get in as many attacks as you can. It's up to you.
If they were still standing and I took another attack, would I still get the flanking bonus?
Yeah, I think so. They haven't had a turn to kind of round on you.
And in that case, I think I'll just do an extra attack.
Extra attack. So that's going to be a total of -1 for you again because of the flank and the defense.
Okay, I need a 14 again. I got an 18, so I don't make the extra attack.
Okay, but you get the second twin attack.
Yeah.
So that's the same again, a -1.
Okay, again, I need a 14. I got a 9, so I hit. This one is slightly worse. It's a D6 basic, and then plus berserk and plus
the flank, yeah.
And I get 6 total.
6 total damage, right?
Yep.
You'll be delighted to know that's precisely what you needed to kill him. Yeah. So Shuglud comes kind of barreling over that guardrail. You immediately notice like a wave, a line of pirates charging towards where Farah has come aboard, and you just crash into the one at the back. And they're kind of half falling over, and you're desperately trying to get their shield almost kind of behind them, but you're just sinking your blades into him over and over again, and he kind of cries and sort of tries to round on you and batter away with his shield, but you're under it at this point, and you don't kind of stand up and look around for another foe until he's kind of on the deck, his blood starting to wash towards the gunnels, Chris, along the edge. Yeah, like little sewers on the edge of the little gutters on the edge.
You started off so good, and then you just rolled downhill.
There we go.
Gunnels
do
is
wanna
the
say,
correct
though,
word.
Gunnels.
That's this
the
entire
lo-
campaign, really.
Yeah.
Started off so good, and then I mean, our performance.
I am
Our
wounded.
performance.
So let's move on then. And we had well, I won't move them. Usually when you delay people, you have to go at the end of the round, right? So I think we'll do that again. So and actually have them at the end. So Vardamar, it's now you, and I'm assuming you're trying to get on this ship as quickly as possible.
Well, can I see anyone from any of the pirates from the ship before I climb
You
up there?
can't see the pirates, but you can hear the ruckus.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can probably just about make out Farah where she's standing on the deck, and you probably saw Shuglud just pitch over the rail and kind of lost sight of him.
neither of whose wills I'm particularly interested in commanding right now. So
No.
I'm going to try and get up and hopefully in sort of our little defensive pocket, go there rather than being just in the midst of a whole whack of pirates.
Absolutely. Well, give me a quick roll for that,
There.
then, please.
So I have to beat a 9. That's a 4. Okay, we can do this.
Okay, yeah,
Nice.
you jump up onto that onto the deck behind where Farah has clambered aboard, and you see ahead of you there are 2 pirates, kind of coming directly towards Farah and therefore you. Right now, you can see a big melee has broken out further back, and you can also see one of the pirates just like crumpled onto the deck, kind of slowly rolling as the ship is kind of like tipping slightly from side to side now, slowly rolling towards the edge. And you can see Shuglud, the leader of the Varaguldru. And this is the first time we've seen people in concerted combat, but Shuglud looks like a nightmare by the torchlight, just a kind of slightly ravening goblin with skull face paint, blood spattered all over him, crimson blades in his hands, looking around for his next target. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm duly impressed and very glad we did not send all the goblins to their ignominious death earlier today. I am going to target one of the pirates coming after us, coming our direction there. Whoever I think looks the most, shall we say, suggestible. And
Sure.
I want to borrow his will. So I believe I make an
Absolutely.
opposed resolute roll on this one.
Is an opposed resolve or
Yeah.
resolute? Yeah.
Yes.
In that case, let me quickly check that stat for them. And that stat, you'll have a +1 on your roll.
Okay, so I have to beat a 16. Okay, 14, which was closer than I would like, but yeah, we're still
Great.
there.
So why don't you tell us, have a little readout of the mechanics and tell us exactly what you can do with this unfortunate Varak.
Yeah, so the Mystic can seize control of a creature's will by making successful resolute test. The control is considered active until the Mystic breaks concentration or fails a resolute test. The controlled creature can perform 1 action each turn and cannot use any active abilities or powers whilst affected. So long as I concentrate, I believe he belongs to me and can do 1 thing per turn.
Sure.
So I would like him, whenever he can do this in his own initiative, to turn on his ally and just, if I can have him laugh maniacally as well and say something like, "Finally, the treachery can begin." I would love for him to draw attention to himself that he is turning on his erstwhile allies here.
Sure.
We've gone full Saturday morning cartoons.
But I mean, if he could twiddle a mustache as well, that would be ideal. But I'm assuming that's a bonus action.
Yeah, sure. So control is considered active, until you break concentration or fail at a test. So every turn you have to make that resolute test, and also that break concentration thing is effectively if you're damaged, you have to make a resolute roll modified by the amount of damage you've taken, as well to do it. So I think we'll do it on your turn. We'll do their turn on your turn, because why not? They round on their companion, and as you say, bellow something. Finally, the treachery will begin. It sounds odd out of their mouth. You get the sense that they might not even know enough Ambrian to make sense of that, but it sounds like your words parroted out of them. And they turn and swing towards their companion, clunkily and clumsily, like they're being puppeted. And their axe kind of crashes against their shield in surprise, and that pirate now looks very confused and is kind of turning to face the companion who is attacking them. Why don't you tell us what does Vardamar do? Like, how does Vardamar bending someone's will look? Do you have a focus of some kind?
I'm assuming, in my head, it's very much, there's a handout, but he's doing this sort of whisper, like he's just trying to placate the free will in there, and it's just these very dark seeming malicious whispers of just, you're going to keep doing this and you're going to turn on your allies, and making it seem like the most reasonable thing possible for him to do all of these things, even if it's against every instinct that he has. So there's this very dark muttering coming out of his mouth, and his eyes are just very dark focused.
Absolutely.
On keeping this control.
Something else as well, obviously, unless you have anything to mitigate it, that is 1d4 corruption.
Yeah. So this is temporary corruption because I have
Temporary, yes.
witchcraft. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, yes. I think it would be temporary, even if you didn't have witchcraft. What that mitigates at witchcraft level 1 will be permanent corruption for learning a witchcraft ability.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I think casting is always a temporary.
Cool. So that's 2 temporary corruption.
Cool. And that will go away at the end of the scene. So.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So we now have the NPCs, but we'll insert Farah and the pirates before here. So Farah, you are
Hello.
on the deck of the ship. Hello. I think you probably caught up to where you are. So there's 2 pirates coming at you. One of them's will has been bent by Vardamar, and now they're bracing to attack each other. Either one of them, honestly, you could probably flank right now if you wanted to.
Okay, cool. So Farah wants to flank the one that is not being will bent. Obviously, we want him to do our bidding for us for as long as possible. So yeah, basically, she would like to, because she's got like her staff, her big stave, basically. She'd kind of like try to like sweep like his legs like out from under him so that he, I guess, would be just like knocked.
Sure.
Yeah.
The game doesn't precisely have particular targeted strikes like that.
Yeah.
Or at least not with the rules we're running. I think it might have some in like the Games Master's Guide or something.
I want to
like
do
that.
him some damage, and hopefully maybe he'll fall over if I roll a 1.
But that could be with the pain threshold anyway. If you get beyond the pain threshold, you can knock him prone, right? So that can absolutely happen either way. So why don't you give me an attack roll? And he's flanked. But also has -3 defense. So the total is basically make an attack roll at -1.
Okie dokie. So
remember, that's a minus. And I'm not saying this because Elle doesn't know, but for anyone watching who's confused with all this talk, because obviously, like, Symbaroum's kind of a similar system to D&D, which a lot of people are familiar with, but almost the opposite in ways. So a -1 is a -1 applied to the attribute, not the roll itself. So a minus is a bad, plus is a good, even though you're trying to roll lower.
okay.
Yes.
So just to double check, because obviously when I was in combat with my old character, I was always rolling strong, so it's accurate to hit.
Unless you've got anything that switches it, then accurate is your to hit stat. But Afanea had strong. So.
It was so good. But yeah, so I need to hit 14 with the minus. And of course, I roll a 15.
Oh, brutal.
If I miss, is that them defending, or is that me just missing them?
No, each attack is a separate roll in Symbaroum, so it's not like a back and forth where you roll and then they hit you if you fail. So basically, your hitting has no effect on you, if that makes sense.
No, what I mean, so the only reason I'm asking is because I am in my polearm mastery have a thing where I gain a free attack if opponent defends against my initial attack.
Oh yeah, that applies then. Yeah.
So that applies. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yes, it's gain a free attack. Just for 1d6. If I'm holding a staff, however, this can be done after every successful defense of melee attacks.
Nice.
So does that mean technically I will always hit?
I think that no. I think that only what that means is it only makes a difference. Like if you're holding a staff, basically you get it with every missed strike you make. Whereas I think I read the first part as if it's not with a staff, you get it once per turn or something.
Yeah.
And
but
for
if
you,
it's
that
with a
doesn't.
staff.
But for you, that doesn't particularly matter because you don't get multiple attacks a turn right now anyway.
Yeah.
But you could build the character in future to get multiple attacks a turn. And if you have a staff, you get a second chance at hitting on every single multiple attack you make.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to this. But yeah, go ahead and make the roll again for your corrective roll at a lower damage.
Yes. So gain a free attack.
It's
So do I just
exactly
roll
the
that
same
1d6?
Exactly. No. It's an attack again. So you just make another attack at -1.
Got it. Right. Beautiful. Let's try.
So you basically
and
just
hit
get
again.
a second chance with every strike.
Come on, please just do me a solid for once. Yes, I hit this time.
Nice.
I rolled an 11, and I
Cool. So that's D6 for damage.
I do 1 damage. I'm glad I rolled a 1 somewhere.
Well, unfortunately, that gets repulsed by their armor. So yeah, Farah swings forward. Oh, this pirate is feeling he's feeling attacked. um, obviously, and he's kind of wildly stepping back and bearing their shield around, and they manage to clatter off both the next strike from Vardamar's controlled Zarak, and your staff kind of batters into them into that shield twice as well.
Question.
Yes.
Sorry, just check. Would that not be the enemy defending against the attack? Because I didn't do them damage because of their armor. Whereas if I'm rolling like accurate to hit them, would that not have just been me missing them?
No.
Okay.
No, because you're rolling against their defense.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So them
Beautiful.
defending
Right.
is you not hitting,
All right.
essentially.
Okay.
There's no
fantastic.
distinction in the rules between like a miss and their defense beating you or whatever. It just means, unless people think differently and can correct us in chat or whatever, like that saying that something's been defended just means you didn't hit.
Yeah, obviously it gave me a little bit of confusion because obviously from the player's perspective, you defend, like your armor is your defense, yada yada. Anyway, let's continue.
Your armor modifies your defense, but your quick is your primary defense.
Cool.
That's then
Cool.
adjusted by armor. But anyway, also, Elle, can you have a quick fiddle with your mic, because since you've come back, it's been a bit poppy.
It's doing the thing. All right,
it's doing the thing. Elle's
doing the thing.
mic does a thing. We know this, folks.
It's a fun time. I may have to dip out and dip back in then. So.
Yeah. Whatever you need. So we're now on to the other pirates. So I think that this individual is going to the one fighting Farah and the other Varak is going to now turn round, so they're facing Farah and the other Varak a bit more face on, and therefore we haven't got any flanking. And I just realised as I've sent Elle off that they're going to be attacking Farah, so we need Elle here to make a roll. This is and there she is. Yeah, there she is. Hiya. Can you make me a defense roll, please?
I can indeed.
And can you make that at I think it might be a -5.
Yikes.
Yes, it is a -5.
Excellent. That's exciting. 11. So cool. I need to hit 6. Although this, as someone who has played Simbroom before with my character who had the Berserk trait.
6 seems like a treat.
6 is amazing. However, I rolled an 8.
Okay. In that case, give me an armor roll, please.
Mm-hmm. Right, armor roll. Where are we at? 1d6. 3.
Okay. In that case, as I've just described, this Varak has kind of turned, so they're facing you and the one with the bent will, and as they do so, they kind of flick their axe out kind of under their shield and catch you, leaving quite a deep gash along the front of one of your thighs, which is 2 toughness.
Okay.
In addition to that, can you give me a strong roll at -1, please?
I can. So I will be aiming for a 10, and I am rolling a 4.
Great. So basically what happens there is after each one of their attacks, they get a chance to shield bash after a successful attack. So what he's done is he's kind of moved forward and slammed his shield into like the front of you, but you managed to catch it kind of broadways on your staff at the moment. But definitely something to look out for, because it could have left you sprawling on the deck of the ship.
I'm not used to feeling so useless in combat, and I hate it.
FNA, well, this is what you get when you move away from the literal most OP build from the core book. Well, nearly. You weren't an ogre. But, so let's move on to the NPCs. So let's describe what else is happening. Elmea has kind of moved on up to the kind of stern of the ship, and is kind of whipped out her bow and arrow and is taking kind of careful aim, and you see a couple of arrows flicker into the general melee that's breaking out. You can't see most of what's happening with the other boat, but you can see standing above most of the pirates is Iaso, his long axe just kind of up and down, raising and lowering. You hear some unpleasant cries, and perhaps even one of you is more kind of aware of their surroundings than the other. Let's say Vardamar sees an arm just kind of cartwheeling out over the lake and hitting it with a splash. The only thing you can see distinctively is that the captain of the pirates who burst out from the hatch has kind of wheeled round and was engaged in melee with someone and seemingly battered them away, and is now backing off and facing head on with a member of the Varaguldru tribe called Rosti. Obviously a goblin with a skull painted face. He has his usual easy grin and wicked glint in his eyes as he and the captain kind of circle each other, and he has his kind of like blade, his twin daggers held low. The Varak captain with a huge axe held up high, and they strike at each other, which leaves Rosti with a horribly cruel-looking slash across his torso. But his easy grin does not dissipate in the face of this. So let's move back around to the beginning. So we've got Garar, and
Hello.
you are now on the deck of the ship.
So, go ahead.
There is the combat ahead of you, featuring Farah and a couple of pirates. There's Shuglad a bit further back, and there's Vardamar near you. There are also, more pirates heading this way.
So I'm more interested in up. Are there stays on the mast here? Can I get higher up maybe with the climbing roll?
Yeah, sure. If you want to make a quick roll to see whether you can get to a particular position of vantage. Obviously, that takes up your movement action, and I would say that unless you make the quick roll, you won't be in a position where you can fire from.
I'm going to take that chance.
Okay.
Mostly for the swashbuckling drama of getting my archer up.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Also, my quick is 15, so fingers crossed.
Sure.
10! Yeah!
There we go. You scramble up, and again, the terminology and I don't, but the crossbeam where the sail hangs from is low enough on here that you can scramble. It's not a big ship. It's low enough that you can scramble up there and maybe perch and fire from where you are. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect. The word you're looking for is maybe the yard or the boom, depending on the ship's configuration.
Yard arm? Is that?
Yes, is a antiquated term, and I believe that only refers to one side of it.
It's an antiquated ship, so you're up on the yard arm. So, you have basically this entire melee below you, and I'm going to say, you can see anything that's happening here. If you want to ask any questions about how any particular people are doing or whatever up from that other group, you can go ahead and do so. But otherwise, where who's getting this arrow?
So, I think the goal here. So, who's rounding on Vardamar? Is anyone going to be making an attack on him, or is he still far enough back in his pocket to be reasonable?
There is another group of 3 pirates who are charging towards Farah and Vardamar and Shuglad, and they will be on them this round.
So I'm torn now because obviously we have our goblin compatriot. What's his name again? It's right here.
Rosti.
Rosti.
Rosti is also fighting the pirate captain and has been quite grievously wounded.
I think I'm going to yell out kind of a greeting to Rosti. I'm going to mark the pirate captain as my dedicated target, and he's going to get my arrow.
Okay, and that means they get, is it a +1 to hit or something like that?
It's a reroll on failure.
Reroll and fail, okay. Well, his defense is -3.
Hunter's instinct.
And here's an interesting thing, and we had this in our main campaign, Sam, and you might remember, is there a thing about firing from a height? Is that considered an advantage? I can't remember.
We've been saying that it is. I think we've been using that height is an advantage for the ranged attack?
I think it should be. I think we looked and it wasn't, but we were like, that makes no sense. Like having that crow's eye view should absolutely be an advantage. So yeah, you can. I think you can fire at an advantage there. So that will be a total of -1, I believe.
Cool. That gives me my accurate is 14 due to exceptional attribute. That makes it a 13. So let's have a go. I got a 5.
Nice. So what is your damage there?
Well, given I have marksman, I get a bonus step on my bow, which means I roll a d10. And I got a 5, which is respectable.
It is respectable. As I said, this captain is wearing Ambrian scale mail, and it's a potent and well crafted piece of armor. Not quite enough to deflect your arrow, but you kind of see the head of it kind of wedge in to the overlap between a couple of scales on the guy's shoulder, but it quickly kind of works itself out and drops to the ground. But you can see him kind of rolling his shoulder to get a control over that muscle again. So clearly, oh yeah, and if you have it, Sam said quite rightly, if you have advantage, it should be an extra 1d4 as well.
Well.
Well noted,
Bonus.
Sam.
2 on that, which brings the total to 6? Question mark.
Yes. No, 7, right?
Yeah, I think you had a 5 before.
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
5 plus 2 is
Yeah.
indeed 7.
Yeah, I'll use the same description. I think it's fine. It's kind of a light wound, and he's kind of rolling his shoulder to sort of get that shoulder moving again. But you definitely wounded him, but he didn't even look up. So clearly, not enough to distract him from this conflict with Rosti. And in fact, it is his turn next. And as you watch him kind of like roll his shoulder and kind of look over at it, Rosti takes advantage of this, kind of ducks in low, comes round and kind of slashes. Literally, he's a tall man. He's kind of 6.5, 6.75 feet, and Rosti kind of rolls underneath. In a move you've seen Rosti do 1,000 times, rolls underneath and slashes at the back of his legs, where his blow is mostly deflected by the scale mail, and kind of comes to his feet all too slowly. The pirate captain has clearly used to fighting smaller opponents, perhaps goblins, and as soon as the roll started was turning round with a great overhead sweep, and you see that easy, almost slightly malevolent grin that you're used to on Rosti's face turn into shock and surprise for a moment as the battle axe comes down and crashes through the patchwork armor that what Rosti is wearing, carves through his torso all the way to his waist, and he tips off backwards, and there is no chance that Rosti is alive when he hits the deck. R.I.P. one of the Varaguldru. Farah, it is your turn. You are fighting one individual along with an ensorcelled pirate, and there's another. You can see another 3 kind of coming towards the grouping of you behind them.
Okay. I'm beginning to figure out that I am not as strong as I think I am. And so which of them looks most damaged?
None of them are damaged.
None of them. Excellent. This is a good time for me. All right, cool. I will just go for the one closest to me then.
The one you're already fighting.
Yes,
Probably,
that
guy.
guy.
Okay, well then give me a attack at a -3, please.
Uh-huh. Didn't you say -1 last time? I'm sure I was trying to hit 4.
I did because you were flanking. But you're
Because
no
I was
longer
flanking, that's what it was, yeah. So I needed a 12, got a 13. So that
Okay,
didn't
but
happen.
you get another go, don't you?
But I get my other goal. So let's see. Nope, not even a little bit. Got a 16.
Fair
It's-
enough.
it's
If
a
anyone's
sad
worried
time.
about horrible noises coming from Mike, I assure you it's my stomach, not something more horribly biological. So yeah, your staff batters against the guy's shield, but he's holding firm up against you and kind of retreating and waiting for his companions to arrive, which they are about to do, but they're not all attacking Farah.
Please, God, no.
One of them, so the one attacking Farah, he is going to attack you. So let's deal with him
Mhm.
first. This one fighting you and the other pirate. So why don't you give me a defense roll at -5, please?
Will do. I have to get a 5. I realised it didn't matter because I way overrolled last time, but I was looking at the wrong defense last time. Yeah, no, I get a 15. I honestly wish I was playing D&D right now because I would be so good.
Getting those rolls. Cool. Give me an armor roll, please.
Will do. Please just be nice. I got a 6.
Okay. And that makes it, right? Oh,
Yeah,
no, sorry, that was armor. No,
Yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, their axe. What is your armor? Is it kind of what have we determined? Is it just light armor generally? Or
It's a medium. That's what I
medium.
spent my
Okay.
points, my money on in character creation. Just getting some bog standard
just
medium armor.
standard medium armor. So
Yeah.
one of them comes at you with a blade, but it gets snagged in. I believe you have on top of your armor, you have kind of like sashes, right, and kind of like
Yeah.
lengths of silk and cloth wrapped around you, and basically their blade gets caught on like a knotted ball holding on one side and just kind of like he curses and withdraws it, but the strike does no damage. And it says on successful attacks you get the shield bash. I'm going to say that for that unsuccessful, for whatever reason, I don't think this is the rule, but I'm going to say you have to be damaged as well, otherwise, and like knocked off by the kind of knocked off balance by the damage you've taken. So I won't apply the shield bash when they don't actually wound you as well. I think I'll do that. Yeah,
Excellent.
I'm feeling that.
That's nice. Benevolent.
Benevolent. I am a benevolent dictator. So there are 3 other pirates coming towards this group. One is going to charge up towards the back at Elmea. One of them is going to charge Shuglud, and one of them is going to charge Vardamar. So let's go for Shuglud first. Why don't you give me a defense roll at a -5, please?
I think I can't make this because my defense goes to a 5 due to Berserker, but I'll still roll to check that I'm not rolling a 20.
I think you can't be knocked down lower than a 1. I think you always get a chance, so you can still make the roll. I think we had that with Ephanea.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Try for the 1. I got a 9.
Okay. Then give me an armor roll, please.
Okay, I think I'll also use my ability, my rune tattoo ability, which basically allows me to get an extra 1d4 armor if I take 1 temporary corruption.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
So I'll roll 2d4 and take 1 temp corruption, and I get a total of 3 armor.
Okay. In that case, the fighter comes towards you, and their axe crashes down, and it kind of the blade doesn't actually hit, but the haft of the blade smacks hard into your collarbone, and you don't feel anything break, but you certainly feel something bend slightly. Why don't you describe for us what your rune tattoo looks like and what happens when it triggers, when it works?
I think it's kind of a crude goblin. It was put on me by a goblin shaman, so it's probably kind of a crude goblin drawing of a skull, maybe similar to what I have as war paint, and perhaps as I'm being hit, it might faintly kind of glow or become darker, perhaps, and it's somewhere on my neck, and just as the blow hits, it sort of softens it slightly.
That sounds good. Did I actually say how much damage that was? Because it's 2. It's 2 toughness.
Cool.
And they're going to try for a shield bash after that. So why don't you give me a strong roll at -1, please?
Okay. I will need 12. And I get 19.
That's a fail. So what happens is they step in with after you reel from the blow to your shoulder, they step in and crash the shield across your face, for which you will need another armor roll, please.
Okay. I think I won't spend the temp just on this one. See how things go. So it's 1d4. I got 4.
Yeah, you take no damage from it, but you get spilled and go kind of sprawling across the deck on your back. I believe when we get to your turn, it is similar to clambering on the deck. I think it is a quick roll to kind of get up with one movement action instead of two. John is nodding, so I know I'm right. So yeah, but we'll see that when we get to your turn, I guess. But we also have a pirate striking out for Vardamar. So Vardamar, why don't you make me a defense roll, please? It's a -5.
Yeah, I have very low chance of succeeding here. No, that's going to be a hard no.
No, then give me your armor roll, please.
So light armor is what, a D4, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It's a 3.
That's a 3. Okay, well, that's not too bad. The pirate coming for you is wielding a blade, and it kind of slices towards you and scores a line across your belly where you are sure it is going to be extremely stinging and painful tomorrow. Take 2 toughness, and also give me a resolute roll at a -2, please.
Right. So, is that mitigated by the +1 from last time because of the opposer, or is it just a straight up resolute roll?
No, this is to break your concentration.
Right. Okay. So do a 13. 7. Okay, we're good.
Okay, that's good. Your bend wheel remains intact. And that's all the pirates, I think. Aaron, you're coming into play now. So you scramble aboard the deck. And ahead of you, you can see, I think pretty much, Farah is fighting a pirate alongside another pirate who seems to have turned to your side for some reason. Shuglad is fighting one. Vardamar is fighting one, and Elmair is fighting one up top. I'd say you probably have no idea where Garar has gone right now. And you can see the situation where a big melee has broken out. You can see the Varrock captain standing over the carved apart body of one of the Varaguldru. What are you going to do?
I think
and Shuglad is on the ground, by the way. Probably right next to where you are.
Oh.
Everything is all these guys are kind of near where you are, so
I'm wondering would I need to move to attack someone?
No. Yes, but a couple of steps, so
can I spend a minor action helping Shuglad up? Like picking Shuglad up?
Yeah, I see. I don't see why not. Well, why don't we it's normally a quick roll to get up. So what I'll say is if you spend your minor action on that, when we get to Shuglad's turn, I'll give Shuglad a bonus to the roll based on your help. How about that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Nice.
Okay. You know what? In fact, we can make the roll now. Let's make the roll now since you're helping now. So Shuglad, why don't you give me a quick roll, please? And what is your quick, Aaron?
13.
Then, why don't you give me a quick roll at a +3, please, Shuglad?
Okay, I'll need a 13 with that. And I get 20.
I tried.
I'm so tempted to say that 20 would be Aaron being dragged down by Shuglad.
I might re-roll it. Just
sure, spend an XP for a re-roll. Yeah,
seems quite worthwhile. Okay, I'll try again. I got a 10. Nice.
Okay. You've pulled Shuglad up. So on your turn, Shuglad, you will have a normal turn. You don't need to get up.
Nice.
Okay.
And no pirates get to attack you while you're prone, which is a plus.
Yeah.
So Aaron, what are you going to do with your combat action?
I think I've generally pegged the man who wanders around in just furs and a stick as not quite combat-y, so I'm going to try and attack the one combat hitting, killing, fighting Vardamar.
I think you mean the woman who wanders around with
the woman.
Oh,
Huh?
Sorry, we're talking about Farah or Vardamar.
Talking about Vardamar.
Because they
He's got
both
a
walk
stick.
around in furs and a stick. Kind of.
Does Farah wear furs?
No, sure, okay. So make your
cruel to
attack
animals.
roll. Sure, you can get a flank on this as well. So why don't you make an attack roll just at a -1, please?
Okay. So my target is 15. I've rolled a 17.
Oh, good lord, people! What are we doing here?
I'm swapping out my
This is
dice.
awful.
'Cause that is apparently my D&D dice.
Sure.
Swapping for another
You don't get any kind of like re-roll or anything like that, do you?
one. No.
Okay. You dash towards the individual and strike out with your. You got a dueling saber, is that right?
Oh,
oh,
am I technically flanking because Valdemar's there?
You are completely flanking. Yes.
Is my +2 from flanking?
No, I already
already
accounted.
took that.
I already accounted for that. That's why it was a
Never
-1,
mind then.
not a -3.
Yep,
So-
never mind then.
Never mind. Shuglud, what are you going to do to rescue this absolute cluster F of a situation?
Am I engaged with the pirate?
You are engaged with the one that attacked you, yeah. Shuglud is just going to go round one by one, killing them in one turn, and just kind of, save the day.
I certainly hope so, but I'm not. Based on how rolls have gone, I'm not too optimistic. I might call out Rusty's name with a bit of anguish, a bit of rage, and just try and slice this guy apart.
Sure. So that's an attack at a -3, or at least first attack is at a -3.
Yeah. So I'll need a 12, and I roll a 5. Nice.
Nice. So give us your damage roll, please, and obviously don't forget your berserk.
Yeah, this is a D8 and a D6. I got an 8 total.
An 8 total. So that has gone through their pain threshold.
Hooray.
So, so why don't you? Do you want that free attack? That extra free attack?
I think so, because I have to. Yeah, I'm gonna take a free attack.
Sure. So again, an attack at -3.
Okay. Again, I'll need a 12. I got a 5 again. Nice.
It's good that Shuglud is this series FNA. That's all I'm saying.
Are your shoulders
I'm
not
not
sore,
okay.
Sam?
I can only be FNA. There can only be one.
For damage,
Who
I
would
got
win in
a
a fight between FNA and Shuglud?
Sorry, you said you got 11 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you feel like a human's hand kind of grabbing the back of your collar and lifting you up, and you use that momentum to kind of spring off the deck, barrel into the guy. You basically use one blade to pull down his shield and scramble up, plant another in his neck, and as he's toppling backwards to the ground, just kind of spin an underhand and through his eye and almost kind of pin his head to the deck, and then spring up ready for more furious and horrible violence.
Nice.
I narrate all the combat in this one, guy, but feel free to say, no, this is what happens if you want. I'm the guy with the numbers, that's all. And it's just, makes sense to me because it occurs to me sometimes people might want to narrate their own combat, but, whatever.
Leonardo in the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but go ahead and paint it Magnolia if you want.
I like that I'm being portrayed as the Da Vinci of horrible, violent combat descriptions. Although part of me, wasn't it Michelangelo who did the Sistine Chapel?
Look, it was one of the
It was one of the
turtles.
Ninja Turtles. It was one of the Ninja Turtles. So that's fine. Donatello's the best, but we can argue about that all day. Valdemar. The first thing you need to do is make that opposed resolute roll to stay in control, and that's at a +1.
Cool. The first thing I need to do is say Raphael is obviously the best Ninja Turtle, but other than that,
Now at a -5.
that's a 9, so that passes, I believe.
Great.
Good.
Yeah, so you stay in control of the individual. They can do a combat action. I'm assuming that combat action is going to be carrying on attacking the one they're attacking.
Well, I'm actually wondering about the guy who's attacking me and flanking him, so that I am not the target of any further hurt because I can't.
Sure.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not going to put Farah in too much distress here, I feel like I'd like to get a good flank on that guy.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we do that then? Yeah, the one attacking you suddenly kind of that would be. Sorry, I'm trying to calculate stuff roughly in my head. Kind of pitches forward and go with kind of an axe wound in their back as the other comes on. So now he's kind of squashed between you and this this ensorcelled individual. The one fighting Farah is kind of like looking over and kind of he's looking over and his eyes track that individual and then onto you, and you see kind of like a realization, and he turns to kind of try to desperately attack Farah furiously, presumably in an effort to get Farah off him so he can get at you.
Okay.
To free his companion. That has no mechanical effect, so luckily, so that's fine. So what are you doing on your turn? Are you attacking the one attacking you?
Would doing another magical effect break my concentration?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's a thing.
Okay. I would like to curse him then. Which
Sure.
involves staring him dead in the eye, especially as he's been surprised by all of this attack there, and just give him that absolute evil eye. So that is my dark gaze automatically gives.
I think it's actually. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's actually a free action as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, because bend will is active, but curse is free.
Okay.
Once per turn, you can automatically give an enemy a second chance to fail all success tests meant to affect you. So yeah, they you'll get two defense rolls in essence.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to curse the living Jesus out of him as I just stare him down, take advantage of that
Absolutely.
moment of surprise as his ally axes him in the back, and just make him feel like he's in a very, very bad place right now as I give him the dark eye.
He's feeling that way.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do with your combat action then? Because that's free. So
yeah, I think smack him in the face with the quarterstaff seems about fair.
yeah, go for it. So that's a roll at a -3.
Okay. And that's my accurate, is it?
Yes, it will be. Yeah.
All right. So, but that is a 3. So,
Nice.
so that just makes it because yes, by 2.
Sure. And what I'm guessing the damage on that staff isn't much, but
No, I think it's a D6, and that's about the extent of it.
yeah, because it's higher for Farah because she's got
All the
pole
cool
arm
stuff.
stuff,
Yeah, so that's just a 4 on the roll.
just 4. Hey, a 4 is a 4.
It's
That's
more
what I
than
always
0.
say.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up learning. So yeah, you take a step backwards and kind of rap the guy in the face with the tip of the staff. He's utterly confused now. A friend of his has just put an axe between his shoulder blades, and this sort of slightly non-intimidating seeming robed individual has just whacked him in the face with the staff. So he's it can be generally said not having a good day.
Nice.
Let's talk about what the NPCs are doing now. The melee is breaking out a little bit. There are definitely gaps in the pirates' lines now. You can see the other two members of the other now 2 living members of 3 living members of the Varaguldu tribe, Alf Bolg and Ull and Foza, are all fighting pirates successfully. Iaso is wielding that long axe to tremendous success. You can't see where the dwarf is. No one can see where Vlador the dwarf is, and the captain, that pirate. Actually, no, he gets a separate turn, so I don't need to describe that. Elmer seems perfectly capable and has already torn the shield off the pirate attacking her, and is now dodging around his blows with kind of a long knife and seemingly luring him towards the edge of the ship. Garar, what are you doing?
I think so. What's the state of the pirate engaged with Farah at the moment? Is he uninterrupted?
Completely undamaged.
Okay, I designate him as my target, and I will give him some spiky friends.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, remind me the target number is -5 plus 2.
It's not -5. It's it's a -1 because you're flanking from being so high.
Okay, perfect. And I'm rolling accurate, so I need to hit 13. 7.
There we go. Give me a damage roll, please.
And this is with the D4 from advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So D10 plus D4. Oh, nice. 6 plus 1 is 7.
Okay, that unfortunately is just shy of the pain threshold.
Certainly
But-
passes his annoyance threshold, though.
Yes, it does. Farah, as the pirate you're fighting, kind of battering away at his shield with the quarterstaff, you see an arrow flick down from above and kind of drive itself into the kind of just the nape of his neck. It seems it disappears into the collar of his armor, and he gives a kind of cry and backs off, looking like definitely less happy than he was a moment ago. Yeah,
Excellent.
got no idea where it came from, but there it is. And now we're going to talk about the pirate captain, who is going to he's basically striding forwards towards probably your group. You know what? Let's randomize it a bit. Let's randomize it. I have a lovely D6 here. Shall we say on 1 to 3, he's striding towards the other group, your companions, and on a 4 to 6, he's coming towards you guys. How about that? Oh, he's coming towards you guys. Look at that.
Yay!
So he's going to start striding towards your group. He's going to use both movement actions, though. He's not being quick about it. He seems really quite confident. He's already carved one goblin in half today. Clearly, the others have no particular... he's got no particular problem with trying to do that again. Out of interest, just so you know, Shuglud will be the first individual he reaches on his next turn. At the moment, at least. Farah, it's your turn.
Okay, so I want to obviously take advantage of the fact that the pirate that's fighting me has been hit with an arrow and is a bit distracted. So I want to charge towards him with my staff and unleash wooden hell, if the dice gods allow it, for once in my cursed life.
Well, that's an attack at -3.
Okie dokie. Anyway, I get to roll a second attack.
Sure.
Jesus. I'm out. I rolled a 17 for those interested. Let's see if I can hit him again. Anyway, I rolled an 18.
Oh my word.
Truly am the mic of this. So for those who don't watch our hadn't watched our other Simbroom playthrough, we have a player there who regularly just rolls terribly, and I rolled fantastically, and now I have become him.
Although, having said that, he's been rolling really well recently.
Maybe it's me.
It has been transferred.
It's transferred.
You
Yeah,
Oh.
it's transferred onto
need to
you.
get yourself a different dice roller.
Yeah, I'm just Google is cursed.
Absolutely.
We need that.
Your quarterstaff kind of batters against the guy's shield, and desperate and wounded or not, he's an individual who knows how to use a shield, perhaps experienced in a shield wall or something along those lines, and he just keeps bringing it across and battering off your quarterstaff with every blow. And now it's the pirate's turn. So we have one individual who is going to attack Farah back. So that's a defense roll, please, at -5.
-5? Cool. All right. No, I rolled an 8, which would have been good in my last 2 rolls, but
No, not
ain't worth jack in this one.
not under this dice curse that you have.
Yeah.
Give me an armor roll then, please.
Okie dokie. Come on, D6. 3. Middle of the
Okay.
road.
So that's another 2 toughness again. There. I think the one fighting you had an axe. I forget these things.
I think so.
But the axe kind of crashes down, and the haft of it lands on the center of your quarterstaff, and then tips over, leaving a kind of a sharp wound on your forearm. Who else is fighting pirates? I'm going to say that the one fighting Vardamar is going to turn and try and fight his companion, who he considers a much deeper threat. But I'm going to say, because of the curse, doesn't hit him. He does nothing. Who else have we actually got fighting? I think that's it, right? Because one of them went on to Elmea, one of them was instantly killed by Shuglud. That's it. That's it for the pirates. So Aaron, you are currently fighting, and I'd say still flanking because I don't think he knows you're there. The pirate fighting Vardamar.
Ah.
Oh boy. Yes, I'm going to attack that fellow again. I think different D20. Let's see if
you
I
get a
can
flank
break
as well,
first.
so it's at -1.
I roll exactly 15.
Okay, and give me a damage roll, please.
That is a 10.
Okay, so the pirate fighting Vardamar and the other kind of ensorcelled Varak is kind of wheeling around and desperately trying to like flick his axe, sword, one of the other,
Axe again.
his blade at the two of them, and as he does so, he isn't even aware you're there. You step in and with a practiced thrust of your dueling saber, just thread it by his spine through the kind of base of his spine and into his bowels. He gives out a tortured shriek and kind of slides off it and collapses onto the deck. He's desperately trying to kind of crawl away. From your experience, you can now move on to someone else.
Okay.
So that individual is dead. Did you want to do anything with your movement action, or?
I think I will move across to the one fighting Farah because
Sure.
she seems to be taking a few hits.
Sure, to be prepared for like
The other
next-
stick person.
the next round. Yes, absolutely. Shuglud, we're on to you. You're not engaged with anyone, but a pirate captain is approaching you with a confident grin, and your blood brother's remains on his axe. What are we doing?
I think having just seen him kill Rusty, I am absolutely charging it for the pirate captain.
Absolutely. Why don't you give me an attack roll then, please, at a -3.
Okay. I need a 12 as before. I got a 1. Nice.
Nice. So that's a perfect hit, I believe.
What is
So,
Gonna be a lot of dice.
so a perfect hit has a +1 d6 to the damage roll.
Okay, so that means I'm rolling at 1d8 and 2d6s.
Oh, mercy.
Please.
We're about to FNA this guy.
I got a
Destroy.
7, a 4, and a 5, which is 16.
16. All right, then. You guys and your one-shotting the mini-bosses. So, he's approaching you with a kind of like, he's happy. He clearly glories in this violence and this combat. He's just cut down one goblin and is ready for another. And kind of his walk towards you, that arrogant walk, starts to lumber into a sharp jog, and he kind of rests his axe up in the air, ready for another blow on a smaller dual blade wielding opponent. And you don't even register this through the red that you're feeling, and you just give out a cry, and as you do so, you go forward with one blade and you throw the other into the wide open target he's presenting coming towards you, foolishly thinking that you wouldn't be able to just throw a blade. You can hurt him from this distance. The blade sprouts in his chest, and he kind of looks down in surprise at it, and as his pace slows and the axe kind of wobbles to one side, you leap up, grab that blade, and use it to hoist yourself up his body and drive the other up through his chin, through the top of his head. through the haze of frenzy that you're under, you don't hear the kind of tortured gurgle, but you feel the warm splash of blood that gushes from his mouth over your neck and face, and you kind of ride him to the ground before drawing both your blades out and whirling to look for another opponent. Vardamar, did we make it? Did you get damaged on the last? No, we didn't, because the pirate turned.
I can't follow that turn. I simply there's literally nothing I can do.
Sure. I'll tell you what you can do, and that's make a resolute roll.
Yes.
That's a +1.
+1. I got a 1, so I'm guessing I'm very resolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Who is left alive among the pirates right now?
So there is still a wounded pirate fighting Farah.
Right.
There are a scattered number of other pirates who seem to be being cut down by the other group. So the answer is not many.
Okay.
Elmea kind of lured her opponent to the edge of the ship and ducked at the correct moment and heaved to send them tumbling over the side with a splash. So not many is the answer, and the most relevant one is the one fighting Farah.
Yeah, I think I want my loyal henchman to now turn and flank and down his ally.
Absolutely, and he's going to kind of turn around and chop into the side of this individual with an axe. Who definitely the look in his eyes is that his days are numbered now. And Vardamar, what do you want to do for yourself?
Is there enough room for me also to chime in with my quarterstaff on this same person? Is it like, I know he's now been flanked by about 3 or 4 people, so I don't know if there's enough space for this.
No, I think that's fine. There's only 3 people immediately kind of on him. No, I think that's fine. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm gonna bop him with the quarterstaff.
Cool. That's a hit at a -1.
-1. Okay. That's a 4. So I think we're good. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a distinct bop.
Cool. Give me that damage roll, please.
That's just a 2.
That's just a 2. Okay.
Yeah.
You thwack on their side with the quarterstaff, and you're not sure they even register at this point. They've been kind of full of axe wounds and arrow wounds, and you're not entirely sure that they feel it through their thick furs and leather. But hey, you're helping.
Yeah. Can I curse him as a free action also?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
want to curse the living bejesus out of him. Yeah, same thing. Like, I'm going to just use all the paranoia of his ally turning on him, on his captain falling, on the fact that he's like flanked on 4 sides now. I just want to prey upon all of that and dark eye the living hell out of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're on the NPC's turn. I think it's obvious to these pirates that the tide has turned, and so most of the remaining ones are going to. Yes, I thought you'd appreciate that pun, Chris. So most of the remaining ones are going to kind of cry that the day is lost, tip themselves, kind of throw away their weapons so they don't sink, and throw themselves over the side in their furs and leathers to try and desperately swim away. As they do so, the one fighting you, Farah, kind of turns and goes to run, and then kind of there's a blur of kind of grey and black in front of you, and the form of the dwarf Vlador kind of drops down from the rigging above and just kind of slams into him with both blades. They give a kind of noise, and then they're kind of dead on the floor. Vlador kind of looks up at you with an expression of complete calm on his face, and just kind of withdraws the blades and then goes around the deck, moving over for the one crawling away around, just kind of moves casually over, moving around, killing the wounded pirates one by one. He's whistling as he does so.
He's my new favourite.
I think we can remove the initiative order there, folks. Oh, Simper in combat. Chunky.
Well, I was about as much use as a chocolate fire guard. However,
them's the dice.
The last time I made a Medicus roll was directly after fighting the Undying.
Yeah, the Undying. Yeah, you can definitely do another one.
So
it's one on one person per day as well. So
So it's
you can make one
you
for
make one
anyone
per
injured.
person per day, or one.
Yeah,
one
so
per-
like,
Yeah.
so for example, you can only roll once for Vardamar per day, but
Yeah.
on that day you could also roll for yourself
Everyone
and Shugled
else,
and
yeah.
Garara and Aaron. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
We're house ruling that a little bit because the rules for whether it's for how Medicus can be done on you are a little bit weird and wonky, but that's kind of what we generally house rule.
Yes.
So you can roll for yourself, and I think yourself and Vardamar are the only ones injured. Is that correct?
I'm quite injured.
Oh, Shugled is also quite injured.
Okay. I will see to myself first because I'm
That
nothing
seems
if not
sensible.
selfish, and also
It
grievously
is sensible
wounded.
though. You don't want your doctor to be wounded when they're working on
Exactly.
you necessarily. so-
Now I have forgotten because I don't do that often. How does one roll Medicus?
You just roll cunning. That's all
Just
you
roll
need to
cunning.
roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cunning, and then a successful roll means they can heal 1d4.
Cool. I'm glad that my cunning's a 9. This is going to go well. Why did I pick Medicus? Who knows? I don't heal myself.
Okay.
So I will attempt to heal Shugled and Vardamar. We'll see how well that goes. I go Shugled next because he's obviously the next most wounded. I don't heal him either. And finally,
If I'm the only one you heal, having just had 2 measly points of tough done, this will be sad.
feeling very impotent at this point, I will try to heal Vardamar and get a 20.
Oh God!
Am I dead?
It's literally is.
Do I
This
die?
is the same. Our party healer cannot roll dice.
On
This is the
an
same
addition to
campaign.
that,
This is
Does
the
she
match
kill me?
called off.
I think I can't remember if I did this before, where I would give it. You know what?
I get an award for the most useless player.
I won't say that just what Farah does wounds you more, Vardamar, but I would say once Farah kind of I think it was like a score along your belly, right? That you had.
Can I re-roll because of my
that was the wound?
athletic fit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you want to roll, if you want to use an
I'm-
XP for a reroll, then yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
like this way. Even if I fail,
Yeah.
At
I
least
was
I'm
just
not
going to
gonna.
give him one more damage, but yeah, I mean, if you want to avoid the epileptic fit, then yeah,
I
maybe.
do.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, 1 toughness is not enough to spend an XP, but yeah, I can see this.
It's all right. I rolled a 19 this time, guys.
Oh my god! I think Chris is onto something. It's just our healers. It's just our
Yeah.
healers. That's the big issue. And
But,
now,
at least in the other Simbroom campaign, Chris had backup Medicus, and in this,
yeah,
it's
but
just
this
me.
is we'll
I
get
mean-
to Medicus.
Chris did take backup Medicus because
Because-
our medic couldn't heal anyone.
Yeah, that was pretty
Mm.
much it.
It's a good time.
So, in that case, yeah. And I feel it's quite characterful, this XP spend to avoid. I get it, the idea that you can feel it coming on, and you have to kind of take a moment to kind of gather yourself and kind of breathe deeply, to not kind of collapse and have a fit in front of these essentially strangers. Yeah. So, all the pirates, there's a couple of pirates swimming away across the lake, but the rest are now not even dying. Vlador has seen to it that they're all dead. The deck is awash with blood, and what are we going to do here? Shugled and Garar, there is perhaps something to take care of.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm coming down from the adrenaline a bit and probably just knelt by Rusty's body, making sure they're checking if there's any hope, but I imagine not.
No, he's gone.
I'll try and rearrange him to at least form the shape of a goblin rather than
Sure.
2 distinct parts, and maybe give the kind of funeral rites a go in the goblin tongue.
Absolutely. After you do so, Alfbolg, the kind of very large for a goblin, muscular individual, kind of kneels gently by Rusty and kind of grasps the mostly separated 2 halves of him and kind of lifts them up, and turns to Shugled and says, "Are we firing the boat once we get off?
Yes.
He nods and kind of carries Rusty over to where the mast comes out of the deck and places him and kind of presses him and folds over his clothes, so he looks for all the world like he's just sat leaning against the mast, perhaps sleeping, and places Rusty's long knives kind of over on his lap as he does so.
He fought well. Made us all proud.
Lucky one. If I can go like that, I'll be very happy.
So while the goblins are carrying out their ceremony, obviously the other two, Ull and Foza, are standing by as this happens as well. What are the non-goblins doing? There is a deck, there is a lot of blood and gore on it, and there is a hatch.
Are the rest of our NPC companions largely okay? Elmea?
Yeah,
so they're usually
they
fine?
seem fine. None of them are badly injured. Elmea is just patiently waiting to see what everyone wants to do. Iarso is sort of wiping the head of his long axe off. Vlador is making sure everyone's dead, and the goblins are otherwise occupied.
I'm going to suggest to Elmea that since the goblins seem very certain about setting fire to this thing, that we get whatever recovered cargo we can off of it as soon as possible, and then send it to a watery grave.
Sounds good. So is anyone going to investigate down in that hatch?
I'm too
Uh,
injured. I'm just going to sit there and recover a little bit.
Sure.
I'll go if no one else is. Yeah.
I was going to stand awkwardly for a moment, not really sure what best to do when a group of goblins are mourning their dead, and then decide to remove myself and head for the hatch.
Okay. So then, going down the hatch, we've got Aaron and Vardamar. Is that the idea? Yeah.
So.
So you step down in there. As you do so, kind of Vladar is just leaning near the hatch, watching you with a slight smile on his face. The Arso is kind of nearby, keeping an eye on what you're doing. You head down into the hatch. Down below is one large open cargo space. It's not a complicated ship. In it is what looks like a number of sacks and small crates that have a great number of glittering Ambrian coins in them and kind of little bits of precious metal and the like. Yeah, I mean, it's, there is some loot down here. It's not, a king's ransom, but it's, yeah, it can be carried back up on deck in a fairly straightforward manner.
There's
Is
enough that. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, is it enough that we can fit it in our little rowboats?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's perfectly fair. We had a good question from El there in private chat. Is the drunk wrestler guy still with us? That is Serex Atio. Oh, how I love forgetting NPCs.
I was just suddenly thinking about him.
Serex said that someone should stay on shore to take, or it was proposed that someone stay on shore to take a message back to the village if you all perished. Essentially, and Serex was nominated and was glad to be nominated because of his hangover. How about that?
That works.
Perfect character choice.
Was that suggestion partly made because he was so hungover and
Maybe.
someone was trying to get rid of him?
Maybe,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Can I take a brief moment to search and gather up spent arrows?
yes, absolutely. And I think what's the convention we use in our main campaign, Sam? What does Askarai use for that?
I don't think we really have one. I think normally
I thought it was like a D10 roll, and there was definitely something.
the thing is, it depends on how many arrows have been shot and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think-
sure.
Normally, I just pick up like one or two, depending on how many it's been.
Sure. I think that's fine.
It's a different system, but when we do our Mutant Year Zero offline campaign, you usually give the archer like a 50-50.
I'm happy with that. If you want to roll a die for each one you shot and
Yeah,
get 50-50
I'll do that.
on whether it's recoverable or not. So, as you are carrying stuff up onto the deck, Aaron and Vardamar, why don't you both give me a vigilant roll, please?
Vigilant. Good luck. Oh, I pass.
Yeah. I
Nice.
missed by 1.
Okay. As you're carrying up, you see something glinting slightly in the in the hold of the ship. Kind of, it looks like it's maybe rolled under kind of some beams across the floor. Do you want to take a closer look?
Yes.
Okay. What you pull out from under there is a beautiful clay wine carafe. It's painted in white and turquoise with kind of gold not plating foil, I guess, around in certain rings around it, and is shaped like a winged meerkat sitting on its hind legs. It looks very nice, very expensive.
It's some fancy barbarian loot. Best put it with the rest of the loot to give back to the barbarians.
Okay, fair enough. So you stride up to the. I believe as part of the deal, and if it wasn't stated before, then I'm retconning it. Part of the deal for this, I believe, was that the village had said that, like, if you got rid of the pirates, you can keep whatever, you know. Then the expedition can keep whatever is gathered from there. So it's up to you how Aaron would interpret that and his finding of this. But regardless, the rest of the loot is brought onto the deck. And why? Well, let's have both people do this, and I'll give it a nice little double chance to be better. Aaron and Vardamar, why don't you both give me a D100 roll, please, and we'll take the higher number for the amount of loot that is gathered all together.
I haven't used a percentile die in so long.
100 Thala each.
That
That is 57.
is 80.
Okay, in that case, there is 80 thala worth of coins and miscellaneous bits of valuable stuff on the deck. And Aaron, unless you make a significant attempt to conceal this large clay carafe about your person, is also coming up onto the deck holding that. People are looking at what is being gathered speculatively. I think it's fair to say. Is anyone going to say anything about what should be done with this?
So I presume we take this back to Mariol and divide it up, or does the fund go to the expedition itself? I say completely innocently,
Sure.
because Aaron has no sense of guile.
Iaso, as he's kind of finishing cleaning his axe, says Mariol should deal with it.
Is anyone
Question.
objecting to this in the group?
Sorry. I was just going to ask, because I've only, fairly recently come into the kind of not in the middle of Davokar world. Do I have any? Do I have much of a concept of what's like worth a lot? Like
You know, this is a fair amount of money.
yeah.
It's more
Alright.
money than you've seen
Okay.
in
Okay.
your time in Thistlehold, certainly. You probably have a rough appreciation for what a thala is, and yeah.
Well, I couldn't. I don't particularly care about like wealth per se. It'd be nice to have some, but equally, I just could not care less if I didn't either.
Sure. To answer your question, Vardamar, no one is saying anything. Vlador is kind of looking around at the group with a sort of amused grin on his face. And Iaso has said this should be taken to Mariol, but also doesn't appear to be about to, like, he's not standing over it going, this goes to Mariol, but he said that is his opinion on what should be done with it. The goblins will look to Shuglad, and obviously Garar has a separate opinion. Chris is a player, so, but the other goblins will line up behind Shuglad, and Elmea looks ambivalent.
I think the Shuglad is not interested in the gold, certainly. He might ask, what is that?
It's a wine carafe.
Is there anything in it?
Quick check, but
It's empty.
no.
Do with it what you want.
Should we?
he asked-
I'll chip in. Should we? I cannot be bothered loading a load of cargo from one boat into another set of boats. Should we just seal this thing back?
The Zarex did want their boats back.
Yeah, but we can tow them. I just don't want to move cargo between other boats. There's no reason to. This thing looks pretty seaworthy.
While that is absolutely an option, it would not be difficult at all to move the loot. Like, it's just a couple of crates.
I'm still playing the lazy card here. I think that would be
Sure.
in character for me. Because obviously the goblins are going to be left to do the physical labor.
Yeah, absolutely. To follow up, do any of you know how to sail a ship?
In character?
Do you think that any of you know how to sail this ship?
Not even a
Well,
little
I
bit.
would. Nah.
I like to think that Gara has had some experience on riverboats, but this would be about twice the size of anything he's handled.
Yeah, definitely. You can all give it a go if you want. I'm happy to insert the extra episodes that it would take for no, of course it wouldn't. Of course it wouldn't. If you want to, you can try and learn how to sail the ship and sail up. I think that's absolutely fine.
That'd be a great montage.
I steal glance at Rusty sitting by the mast and say, "Did you not want the boat for?"
We can burn it when we get there.
And what's the point of taking it back?
And will he just be sitting there the entire time?
Oh, for God's sake, do what you want.
I would say it is 10 seconds work to get the the stuff to the boats. So
In the
you
time
need
that
not
everyone's been
participate
arguing,
in Gara.
sorry. Yeah, in the time that everyone's been arguing, I'm
up
gonna...
at this point, and it's
Sure.
just going to.
It's already been done.
Off.
Farah's taken it to the boats.
I don't want to cross ER, so and he seems to
Okay.
want it to go to Mariol. So
Well, that escapade seems to be not voted for by the rest, despite Chris's desperate attempts to show off more of his ship knowledge.
I'd chip
But,
it.
Hey, so we're back in. So I assume we're back in the boats. We've loaded them with the loot, and the intention is to take it to Mariol.
indeed.
Okay.
Do you set fire to this ship?
I
I
do
guess before we leave.
You could fire the ship, start the fire on the ship before you leave, or I think it's fair enough that Gara could try and fire some oil-soaked arrows in as you kind of row away. Which would you prefer to do?
I think that's up to, I'll leave that up to Gara. If he wants to do that, then
Yeah, I'll take the shot. It seems fitting, doesn't it?
Sure, absolutely. So you end in the so you're in the boats. You fire the ship. Sorry, Gara, did you say that you kind of you use a fire arrow for this, or?
Yeah, I think what I'll do is having had experience with riverboats, I'll put some oil on the actual deck as well. So
Yeah.
I'm putting two and two together, and then I will put an arrow into it from the
Sure.
boat.
You do so, and it takes a few minutes, but the ship finally erupts in flame, and you watch as it cracks apart and slowly glides under the still waters of the Volgoma, taking Rusty down to whatever afterlife awaits the Varagul's after their yearned for demises. And then you row the boats back up north, back to the Zarek village. It doesn't take too long to do so, perhaps a couple of hours along the shoreline before the Zarek village kind of comes into view. Obviously, you pick up Serex on the way from the shoreline where he's been retroactively waiting. And yeah, he looks to be perhaps skeptical at the least and disgruntled at the most at the notion that the loot is being given to Mariol, but makes a couple of definitely less than politic comments about how other people risk their lives for it. But the decision, I guess, has been made. You arrive back at the Zarek village. There are people out watching for you as you approach who hail you, and then Mariol is waiting on the shore. as everything is dragged in. And shall we say that your boat is dragged in first? And let's have a bit of forced role play here, shall we? Who is going to jump out of the boat first and then will be the first person talking to Mariol? And that is going to be Shuglud. So, Shuglud, you kind of start heaving the boat out. Mariol strides down, her expensive leather boots soaked in the slight surf from the edge of the lake, and says, "It went well then?"
Yeah, the Variks are taken care of and the ship is burnt. I think the others might have some things for you, but there's no pirates left.
Very good. Any wounds? Anyone needs taking care of?
Some of us are wounded, and we lost one of our companions, Rusty. But
she looks kind of slightly taken aback and says, "Oh," and kind of looks around like essentially doing a goblin head count. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I know they're all your tribe, yes?"
Yes, but he fought well. It's what he would have wanted.
She nods and says, "Well, my commiserations. Obviously, I hope you are well compensated for this kind of thing by the agency."
Thank you.
She turns around and kind of starts talking to some of the village elders, and then Iaso kind of comes over and leans over and says something quietly to her, and she nods, looking quite satisfied, and then everyone retreats up to the village, where you can all, there can be some medical attention paid to you by the Zareks themselves. They'll use some poultices and the like on you, which I believe they typically each in this game just give you one toughness back. So everyone could just take one toughness back roughly. And also every day without without combat or massive exertion, I think just walking is fine. Is a recovery of one toughness, I believe. I will double check that before it happens. The Zareks seem grateful, and obviously are intending to stay true to their word. There's a great pile of supplies being built up in the center of the village for you to all take with you, as you all gather in this the roundhouse where the Zarek hosted you. Mariol steps in and says, "Well, a job well done, I think, although obviously sad that one of our goblin companions was lost in the melee, but still, victory. And I believe considerable amounts of gold and loot was recovered, and I'm very pleased that this has been rightfully left to the leader of the expedition to see to and administer. I have no need or intent to keep any of this myself. So I think dividing it equally among every individual who left on the expedition should be done. And in addition, I will see that a portion of it goes, the portion that should go to Rusty will be given to the Varaguldru to do with as they wish as well. Can someone with a calculator divide 80, and don't worry about the remainder, we'll get to the remainder in a second, but can someone divide that between you guys are 5 and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, and we won't count Serex. Serex will waive off his portion because he wasn't.
It's
That
about
is-
7 Thala. It's like 6.6, but then I'd say round
Sure.
that up and make it 7.
No,
Oh,
like I
right,
said, the
oh, it's
remainder,
seven around it,
I will
sorry,
deal
yeah.
with the remainder. So 6, that's 6 each. And how much does that leave left over?
0.6.
0.6
But
Eight.
well, 0.6 times
times
a
8.
certain
Yeah,
number,
sorry.
right? 8. Is it 8? Okay. So 8 Thalas left. So everyone gets 6 Thala, and the Varaguldru get another 6 Thala. Shuglud will get it to do with as he wishes between the Varaguldru. And then Mariol says, holds up kind of the remaining 8 Thala worth and the wine carafe and says, "For now, I will hold on to these goods. This carafe looks to be perhaps worthy of sale in Thistlehold. These will be held for further service. So if someone carries out a particularly dangerous act or puts themselves in front of hostiles for the purposes of the expedition, they will be rewarded with this. She kind of pauses for anyone to kind of object in any way.
I nod appreciatively.
I'll glance at the goblins.
I think,
They're the most likely.
Sure. She nods and says, well then, excellent. We'll be leaving within the hour. And she turns with a slight flick of her cloak and walks out of the roundhouse. Is anyone wanting any particular interactions or stuff, or want to check up on anything or anyone before you leave the Zarek village?
So how long were we gone for that little side?
I think you were gone. I think you left midday yesterday. Does that make sense? And it's now you've probably been gone about 24 hours.
I would like to check up with Aurel and see if he's like what's been like occurring while I've been gone. If there's been any like information it can give me. If anything seemed sketchy, I don't know what he's been doing.
Absolutely.
Just have a quick catch up.
He will say everything's been perfectly fine. The Zarek were very, very welcoming, very good hosts. They've ate well. Mariol checked in on him every now and then to see if he was okay. He spoke with her a little bit. He also spoke with Gedeon, the individual kind of shrouded in a thick yellow robe. He spoke to him a little bit, but he seemed somewhat distracted and said that, in fact, at some point in the day, he seemed to vanish for a few hours. So he had no idea where Gedeon went. But yeah, everything's been absolutely fine. Do you think you would have had this conversation near others or very purposefully?
Very purposely not.
Quietly. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
quietly fine. Or like mind-linkingly.
Partly
partly.
in your minds. That's cool. I just wanted to wonder if Vardamar would be in any way potentially in earshot for the
Sadly
Gedeon
not.
was missing for several hours bit. Because I know Vardamar's quite interested in that. So
I will at some point go up to Shugblood and hand him one of my good arrows and go and if you would be so kind, get me 5 more like this or better. I don't want to go and talk to any of them. They might get a bit, point towards my eyes, upset.
Yeah, I'll go and get some.
You're muted, Matt.
Your kind of stigmatic, corrupted eyes that kind of faintly glow green, right?
Yeah, we've got a double whammy on the eyes now because of the previous permanent corruption stigma and because of the my inbuilt mystical mark.
Absolutely. I believe this is regarding arrows. This is something we homebrewed as well because we thought the cost of arrows is a bit outrageous
Disgusting.
in the core. But what is it? A thala for 10 arrows or something like that? I think we said.
Yeah,
Like in the core book, it is. And I can't remember what we've retconned it to for Askarai. Is it like a shilling for 10 or something like that?
I can't remember. I think it is. I'm not sure. It might be a thala for 10, and in the core book it's like a thala per arrow. No, that seems even too much.
I think that would be too much. Yeah, can you check on it, John, while we do so? But either way, yeah, you can trade. You can get. Let's say, how many arrows are you after, Chris? 5. Yeah, you can trade for some arrows to the Zareks for sure. They make decent arrows here. So
The book has 10 arrows for 1 thala.
Oh,
yeah.
But I can't remember what
I think we've reduced it to something like a shilling or something like that. Well, let's just say it costs a shilling. Let's say that you managed to convince the Zarek to part with some of their with 10 of their arrows for a shilling. So Garak could take the extra.
I think I'll whatever I got for Rusty, I'll just split up amongst the goblins, basically.
Sure. So that was 6 that you had, and there are 5 of you left, just to be convenient. But yeah, you can. Let's make it simple, and maybe you can bury a thala on the shoreline in memory of Rusty or something. But let's give both of our goblin PCs an extra thala then. Anyone want to do anything else before you set off?
What kind of supplies are we getting in that pile? I just want to go over and have a look at what's being assembled.
A very large quantity of dried fish.
Oh, it had to be that, didn't it?
Yeah, but there's a lot of it, and it is for dried fish, fresh, and it's good eating if you like that kind of thing, and that's mostly it. They've given you some basic other supplies as well, like a small shovel and some rope and things like that. But the group already had some things like that. You think that Yarso in particular has a backpack just packed full of this kind of equipment.
Okay. It's an off chance, but would this particular village have, say, a witch gown that I might be interested in buying off of them for better armor? It's a long shot.
What does the witch gown cost in
10 thaler.
10 thaler.
Yeah.
I would say, have you got 10 thaler?
I have 11 now.
I would say that if you're willing to trade for it and they're feeling favorable towards you, so I'll give you a bit of a discount here towards it. I would say that for 9 thaler, they're willing to trade you a rather nice. They say that it was something made for one of their mystics who had traveled up the shoreline in the recent months and was actually killed in one of the raids that the Varaks carried out. And they're willing to trade you a witch gown they had made for them for 9 thaler.
Well, that other mystic won't be needing it anymore. So yeah,
Nope.
I think I will take them up on that and buy myself a proper witch gown to.
Cool.
After that face-to-face fight there, I think some slightly more.
Yeah. So I believe it's the same armor, but it doesn't damage your defense in the same way. So yeah, wonderful. Yeah, you can absolutely have that. Is there anything else anyone else wants to do?
I think I'd like to very quickly talk to Aaron and thank him for helping in the fight and compliment his fighting.
Thank you. I was just...
By compliment his fighting, do you mean that was really good when you walked up behind someone who didn't know you were there and slid your sword through their spine?
I liked it a lot.
That's fair.
Thank you. It's I've been learning the sword since I was a child.
Yeah, I could tell, and I think many people would not stop to help in the middle of combat, but you helped me up, and I appreciate it.
I couldn't just leave you lying on the deck.
Many
You have
people
to-
would.
I really like the sense that Shuglud is going up to someone else after that fight and going, "You fought well."
Yeah.
Shuglud, who carved up half of the opposing force. Yeah, good. Okay, well, as you gather to leave, Father Jarrow and the missionaries, they are staying here. That was part of the agreement. And the Zareks will host them until they get an opportunity to move on. Although you get the sense that the missionaries feel like perhaps they have found their purpose here. You have a moment with the missionaries where they kind of move through the group, kind of thanking everyone for their help. They offer Mariol a small amount of coin, which she kind of dismisses somewhat tersely, and walks away. But what they do is they offer everyone, should they wish it, the blessing of Prios. This has no mechanical effect. Who would, does anyone take them up on this?
Aaron will.
Yes.
Sure.
I will be anywhere else.
Are they still giving us guides, by the way, Matt?
Yeah, the Zarek are providing
Yeah.
2 extra guides to try and lead
cool.
you to where you
Need to
where you
go?
want to go.
Cool.
Okay, so just Aaron and Farah then. They come over to you. Father Jarrow performs the ministrations himself, a blessing of Prios, a few words, his arms starting kind of thrown up to the air to the waiting sun, albeit a sun that's somewhat hidden behind dark grey clouds at the moment and rather overcast, and then finishes with kind of carving shape of the shape of the sun out with his fingers ahead of you. Prios, bless and keep you on your road.
Thank you,
I'll
Father.
just nod.
Out of interest, Farah, is this because you'll just take any help you can get from whatever divine beings and spirits may or may not exist out there?
Yeah, I feel like I had like a little bit of a wake up call at how kind of utterly useless I was in that expedition, and like
I don't think. I'm not arguing you weren't useless, but I would say that is your dice rolling, not your actual character.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have been absolutely fine if you'd
rolled
and
well, but I hadn't. So my character did.
Feels
end up being
vulnerable.
useless. And I think with her backstory and all, she's trying to integrate more into Ambrian, so she doesn't really believe in it, but she'll take it anyway.
She'll take it.
Yeah.
Why not?
While we're
okay.
here, can Elle get them to bless her dice roller?
Yeah. Prios bless and keep the dice roller. As the afternoon starts in earnest, the missionaries wave goodbye to you. The Zarek, watch you leave with a bit more staid, but they're obviously, they seem sorry to see you go. Elmea shares a few words with them, and two other guides come with you. They look like perhaps a brother and a sister, not that old, maybe 17 or 18 years old, but they seem confident, and they lead the way into Davakar with a they seem knowledgeable, which is what you want in a guide, I suppose. As you start to travel west, the forest perhaps unexpectedly increases in density and difficulty very quickly. Before long, you're passing through twisted boughs, roots that seem to come out of the earth to intentionally trip you up, and a great deal of undergrowth. The footing is uneven. The canopy closes to the degree that it is almost like traveling on a bright night. Shafts of light break through, make you blink in adjustment at first when they come into view, and the rustling of leaves far above blends with odd animal noises to produce an uncomfortable sound, almost like the forest itself is whispering. Let's go around and say, is there anything you want to add to how you're traveling, how this makes you feel, maybe who you're trying to stay close to or stay away from, and why don't we start that process with Alex? Alex, how is Vardamar traveling in this environment?
I think even being away from spying on Gideon for even a day is just making him just that little bit antsy, and especially with all these voices and sounds going on, I think he's going to, without a lot of stealth, but not making a big show of it, just going to keep an eye on Gideon and make sure he doesn't stray off. If he's muttering to himself or having any conversations there, I think he's come to trust Elmea's guide skills at the moment, so not quite as worried about where they're headed, but just worried about who has his back at this point.
Absolutely. And how about Shugled?
I think Shugled would probably try and stick close to Gara, knowing that Gara is probably the most experienced of the goblins traveling through this environment. Unless, of course, Gara wants to go on ahead, but I think that would be the general idea. Perhaps I kind of feel like the goblins might be a little quieter than usual, a little more sullen, having actually come face to face with the end that they're all trying to meet, but haven't really experienced for a little while at least, and losing Rusty.
Absolutely. Gara, how about you?
I'm going to be palming Shugled off, and I'm trying to go out with the guides and scouts and make myself useful in that mechanic, because it's good to get the drop on things. I think Gara is maybe a little maybe Shugled and the others have been maybe slowed a bit by the Spectre of Death, but Gara was phenomenally impressed with the final moments of our comrade and is kind of actually a bit buoyed by this, maybe, strangely.
Sure. Maybe even slightly envious in some ways.
Yeah.
How about Aaron, John?
I think now that Aaron has gotten the impression of Farah as a devout Ambrian girl, Aaron is going to be Elle's face. Aaron is going to be walking nearby to Farah and Aurel and probably trying to draw them into quite chatty and curious conversation.
Great.
Sure. Well, being as our next person is Farah, how is Farah responding to this?
So, in terms of kind of where she is in the march, her only kind of thing was close to Aurel, far from Iaso, maybe near. Oh God, I've forgotten his name. Vlador
Vlador is the dwarf.
Close. There we
I
go.
keep forgetting his name as well.
Yeah. Maybe like close to him since he seems reliable and slightly sketchy, but at least he can stab things well. And yeah, I will respond, like politely, but like won't particularly go into any depth.
Sure.
Or
not massively engaging in any sense.
No, and if the conversation about Prios does arise, I am just going to make it very clear that I'm not a devout Prios girl.
I don't think Aaron would discuss Prios in any great detail. It would more just be like friendly chat. But I would also like to point out that you could probably say just literally anything full of massive inconsistencies, and I severely doubt Aaron would notice.
I think I'm too preoccupied to sadly to play with the silly innocent nobleman. So I'm just going to yeah.
Sure.
Cool. Thanks, Mum.
And as you're all walking along like this, it's a fairly uneventful but difficult journey. So far, as I say, it's very dense and bad footing and the like. And it mostly goes without any incident whatsoever until around the time, roughly around the time where it's starting to get dark. There's that kind of dusky twilight, which almost wouldn't make a difference here, being as it's already what you're in. But now, as it's falling, it's almost like the moon has gone behind a cloud, and you hear everyone here hears Vlador's voice going, "Hey, show yourself! Come out from there!"
My staff is immediately drawn.
He's around kind of the middle of the group, and if you turn around and look, like, you can't see everyone very well because of all the dense greenery in the trees, but he's stood kind of off to slightly one side of the path, and he has kind of both his blades drawn and he's staring off towards the north.
Have we heard anything from the direction he's facing?
No.
Nothing.
And we can't see anything either from where he's looking?
No one can see anything from where they are, but given the nature of Davakar at this point, like, unless you're quite close to him, it might be quite difficult to see what he's looking at.
I am going to draw my weapons and start to move to his side.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
What's the reaction from Elmea and the guides?
They are both coming back quite quickly towards where he stood.
Okay, I'll look an arrow, but make just to be very, very silent.
Okay.
Just hiding.
It sounds like Shugled and Aaron might be the first to reach his side. You can't see anything.
Did you see something?
I saw a figure over there.
Human?
I'm sure I did. Maybe human.
Would Aurel and I be close enough to have overheard this, or?
Yeah, he's not talking in a whisper.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of just send a mental note over and just elves. Look noticeably more tense, probably.
Like Aurel's kind of eyes flash over to you, and you see a kind of a restrained panic in them as he acknowledges that could be a possibility.
Okay, I'll just kind of move slightly closer to him and have my staff in front of him, then just stay behind me, just because I'm really helpful and good at combat.
The three Zareks kind of stride out past where Vlador is and kind of turn over their shoulders. And Elmea says, "Stay here." And they quickly disappear into the greenery. Vlador stands there. He's not sheathing those blades, and you can see his like thumbs sort of pressing on them in a kind of not nervous but preparatory sort of tension. Everyone has stopped now and gathered around, and everyone's quite quiet. Is anyone going to say or do anything in particular?
I just want to make myself as small as possible, basically.
I'm going to try and listen for anything out of the normal from the background sound of Davokar that we've been hearing.
Sure.
What are my chances of tracking the scouts who've kind of gone past me and disappeared?
You think you can track them a certain distance. Tracking in Davokar is very difficult, or this particular kind of environment in Davokar because of how much underbrush there is. But you think you could give a go to look to tracking the scouts? Certainly, they've only been gone about 2 minutes at this point, so they're not vanished or anything.
I think I would try and peel off quietly and subtly behind the scouts when they leave, so not giving them long enough to get too far away.
Sure. Well, why don't you give me a vigilant roll at -2, and John, why don't you give me the same if you're listening out? Because I feel like the environment is sort of at odds with trying to listen out for anything.
I got a 3, which is a success.
Nice.
I rolled a 20.
Okay. I'm going to say, I could say something like, you think you hear something to the south, and send you all off on a boondoggle that will take 10 minutes. But instead, I'm going to say Aaron is going to get a -1 to any rolls you feel would be impeded by a sense of paranoid nervousness until you wake up after a good night's sleep.
Right.
This has got you on edge. You haven't I'm correct in saying Aaron has not been in Davokar before, right?
Correct.
This environment is alien to you. The noises, the movement of the leaves, and now someone or something hidden. You're a bit nervous about all this. Garar, you pick up you think they're Almea's tracks, and you pick them up almost immediately.
Perfect. I would be discreet and kind of tailing them, both to provide support, but also to make sure they're not colluding with the enemy.
Sure. Well, within a minute or so, you meet Almea coming back along her own trail. You kind of see each other at the same moment as you emerge from behind some greenery, and she kind of starts 1 second, and you see her like bow kind of tip up and then relax when she sees that it's you, and she nothing. The other two guides emerge from nearby.
I'll retrace my steps back to the party then, probably falling in behind her so it doesn't look like I've done all the work.
Sure. Elmea and the two other Zarex and Garar emerge from the trees. Elmea shakes her head. Vlador kind of nods more to himself than in response and says, "Well then," sheathes his blades and turns to carry on walking.
So, did we scare them off?
Elmea says, "I couldn't find anything. No people, no tracks." She walks over to you and kind of looks at you for a second, kind of a bit knowingly, and sort of claps you on the shoulder and says, "Davokar does this to folk. You'll get used to it."
If you say so.
Fall in beside Shuglud for a brief spell and in the goblin tongue complain somewhat bitterly about the Southerners being kind of firstborn forest walkers and not having a clue about what they're doing.
Sure. So everyone carries on walking unless anyone wants to do anything in particular. As night falls, a camp is set up, a watch is put up, everything transpires as it should. People, have their fill of dried fish and the like. Is there any particular interaction anyone wants to have as we camp out in Davokar? There are watches set, obviously. Is there anything anyone particularly wants to do or say as we do this?
I'd like to maybe see how amenable the scouts are to kind of the new guides and Elmea are, if they're kind of keeping in their own group. I'd like to try and integrate a little bit with them.
No, they're actually sat with the rest of people. They're not sat off to one side or anything. They occasionally share some talk in Zarek, which obviously you don't understand. But Elmea, no, they're not kind of keeping to themselves. They seem perfectly calm and perfectly happy to sit around with everyone else.
I will engage in a little bit of shop talk with the express desire of getting the names of the two guides.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. So the guides are called. Oh my god.
Clyde and
Vestibule. Broderick and
For some reason, I
Flumpulon.
heard that as Fleshtabule, which is horrible.
That's the name of my new black metal band.
Yeah. So they are called Adela and Lothar.
And are they related, or are they just kind of...
Yes, they are brother and sister. They are twins.
Typey.
Unidentical twins.
Unidentical twins. Thank you for that.
No problem. So, unless
Clearly
anyone,
some problem.
unless anyone wants to do anything else, the night can pass. Yes.
yeah, don't think
Yes,
I was
okay.
wanting to do anything.
The next day, again, there is, it's more of the same, more travel through this rather difficult landscape, occasionally kind of stopping so the guides can get their bearings. It is difficult and dark and more than a little bit unsettling. And as the day wears on, can everyone give me a resolve roll, please? And this has some
Absolutely.
modifiers, so give me a second. Any mystics, i.e. Vardamar, can get a +5 on that resolve roll, and any non-mystics take a -5.
Wow.
Okay.
Just
And
put your hand up if you succeed.
did last night count as a good night's sleep?
Do you think it counted as a good night's sleep?
I mean, if I was freshly paranoid, probably not.
Let's say no then. But let's give you an opportunity for one this following night, if you have the chance for one. Did anyone who isn't Vardamar get that?
Does this count as a ongoing physical effect that we're trying to roll against?
No.
Okay.
Just so you know, I got a 20.
I got a 6, so I did make it.
For your 20, John, I'm going to up your penalty to -2 until you get a good full night's sleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you have one thing you've learned on this trip so far that you weren't really aware of beforehand. You do not like Davokar. There is something here. You feel like you're being watched. You feel like something is horribly wrong and you're not sure what it is. And you're growing increasingly alarmed that your companions seem to range from perfectly calm through to just cautious. Vardamar, as the day wears on, you start to feel something. It's an odd pressure in the air, like a thunderstorm is approaching. As you travel on, it starts to become almost painful and audible, like a low buzz that rattles around your skull. You're also going to take a -1 to any roll while this is present. It's entirely up to you whether you talk to other people about it, and whether would you try, do you think, to visibly repress this, like to conceal that it's happening to you?
Does it have a physical like tell? Am I like shaking or something?
No, it doesn't, but it's definitely, if you have like a low level headache, you'd be like rubbing your head or like occasionally blinking your eyes a bit. It has that kind of physical effect, but not one you can certainly suppress. And certainly if you wanted as well, you can talk to other people about it, or you could just try and notice if other people are feeling it in any way.
Yeah, I definitely want to do is anybody else feeling what I'm feeling? And if, whether or not I think Elmea, at least I want to have just a quiet word with her. I don't want to make a production out of it, but I'm not going to keep this to myself.
Well, you can, Elmea comes back to the group for a drink of water and you can definitely like grab her and ask.
Yeah, I just want to pull her aside and it's like, are you feeling this pressure? Are you feeling what's happening right now?
A pressure? You think a storm's coming?
Not an ordinary storm. It's something stranger. You don't feel anything then?
I'm sorry, Northlander, I do not.
All right. I'm just going to give her, look, without going into too much detail, there's definitely something strange and mystical afoot, and I haven't noticed anybody else having any kind of reaction.
Well, give me a vigilant roll.
Okay. All right. That's a 15, so that's a fail, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'm guessing I haven't seen anyone react to it.
Not with that roll, you haven't.
No. Okay. Yeah, definitely going to mention it to her and try to cast my eye out for the next little while to see if anybody has picked up on this. And I'm just going to be looking around, mainly since it seems like there are no other visible things. I'm just going to be mainly watching out for my fellow companions to see if anybody else is twigged.
Absolutely. Well, as the day goes on, I think you can make another roll and give me a +1 to it.
Okay. That one's a 4. Okay, so we're good.
Okay. You kind of keep an eye out on everyone, and then after after a while of traveling, for whatever reason, they're walking across from you, and your eyes flick to them, and you realize you haven't been watching Gideon with your usual vigilance most of the day, and then you realize as he kind of walks past you, kind of heavily leaning on his large walking stick, his kind of hood has been pulled back for the first time. He's, as I think I've described him, he's kind of a youngish man, very pale, and has quite closely cropped hair. And as he walks past you, you can see him pinching the bridge of his nose and kind of shaking his head to shake something out of it before going on. You also notice that he has a very anticipatory look on his face.
Okay.
Whatever this is, it is exciting him.
Like not just nervous anticipation, like actual joy here.
He seems, perhaps if it's the same sensation as yours, you can't see how he might be enjoying it.
Yeah.
But he certainly seems to be thrilled by it.
Okay. I'd like to pull up alongside him, not making a big show of it, but pull up next to him and just sort of lean over and quietly, and people could hear if they needed to, but you feel it too then, don't you?
He blinks a bit before he kind of turns to you sharply, almost as he didn't really notice that you were there. Yeah. And he says, yes, we are getting closer.
What are we walking into here?
Why do you think I know any more than you?
I think you know where we're headed. I think you know something of what awaits us there. I think a lot of that's been held from us to keep us blithely walking on. But I think you knew this would happen.
Those are some decent guesses. Unfortunately for you, by your own logic, I suppose, I wouldn't tell you even if I knew.
It might help our chances of surviving all of this if perhaps you revealed one or two of your closely held secrets.
Where we are going, Vardamar, is a place that has lain untouched for a great many years. It was a prison. And maybe it shall be again. But let us hope not. Eh? And he kind of speeds up his pace. He's got kind of a sickly little grin on it and seems to be trying to kind of stride on ahead of you.
Well, that's not ominous at all.
So the rest of the day passes. The sensation Vardamar kind of increases, but then holds at a steady level, which is just kind of like a very, a low-level migraine or something you can deal with, but which is distinctly unpleasant.
Yeah.
You settle down again for the night, bed down as you did before, set the watch as you did before. But this night does not go uninterrupted. Everyone can wake at approximately the same time, and the reason everyone wakes is because there is a cacophonous windstorm happening. The canopy above over your head is groaning and creaking horribly. The rushing sound of the wind through the leaves, even above that, and you can feel it even through the thickness of the trees of Davokar. You can feel it when you stand up. Kind of your clothes are flapping against you. There is no rain, no thunder, just this riotous zephyr around you all. It is during a watch that Serex and Fosa have taken, and you anyone kind of rousing themselves can see quite quickly. Serex is stood in the middle of the camp, sort of like with a cloak over him, like bundled against this wind. It's not kind of really cold wind, but just the force of it quite quickly gives you an icy sensation on your hands. Fosa is off to one side. And you know what? I'd say both the goblins can give me a vigilant roll.
Okay.
Okay. How do you do, Shuglud? No.
Failed.
Garar, something seems wrong with Fosa. She's kind of gazing out into the darkness of the trees nearby with a certain intensity that she does not usually have. Typically, she has she has a solemn expression almost always, and an elaborate painted stone necklace, and is perhaps the most thoughtful and quiet of the Varaguldru. But she seems restless and concerned.
Okay, I will go up to her and kind of take a position beside her, as I have done many times before.
Mm-hmm.
And wait for her to notice me rather than forcing the conversation.
Sure. She does not do that immediately, and she's definitely peering quite closely at a clump of I say a clump of trees. You're entirely surrounded by trees, but a cluster of trees kind of off somewhere by the campsite. As for everyone else, is anyone else doing anything in particular? Like, people are waking. No one is kind of looking around like we're being attacked by wind demons or something like that. But it's not a situation where you kind of open your eyes and then go back to sleep, because it is, extremely loud and odd.
I think I'll just dig my staff in the ground a bit for a bit more like extra purchase. Have a bit more like stability. If it's like in case it kind of gets any stronger, and just kind of just be looking around, because something isn't right about this.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, how about you?
I'm. The sensible part of me wants to say that I start checking straps and checking ties and checking that none of our gear is going to be stolen away by the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But probably doing it while furtively, because this is perfect cover for anyone who wanted to sneak up on our camp. There's noise and chaos. Probably spending large amounts of it furtively glancing over my shoulder at the tree line. Nice, we're in the tree line, but
sure, absolutely. Vardamar, anything from you?
How's the headache? Is it worse now in this
Same.
storm, or is it the same?
Same.
Okay. What are the great and the good doing, Mariel and her crew there? Like,
Mariel is kind of stood next to Iaso and is kind of bundled up in her vivid. I think she has. I think I've said she has like a red cloak, which is around her against the touch of the wind. And Iaso is just kind of stood with leaning on that long axe, kind of looking around, shaking it, basically just annoyed that he's been woken up. Serex can be almost heard over the roar of the storm, kind of loudly complaining that he, has been roused from a good night's sleep. And as kind of Elmea is kind of wandering the perimeter, just kind of taking a look, Iaso yells out to her, and most of the people nearby, you can hear it, even though the roar of the wind says, "What is this Prios damned shit, woman?" Elmea turns and quite calmly looks back at him and just says, "It is just a wind." And as she says that, it starts to die. She looks around kind of a little bit surprised at the fortuitousness of the timing of it. And within a minute, 2 minutes, it's still, blowy, but it's not a weird, sudden, roaring windstorm.
I will ask Fosa what she saw.
As you ask, she turns to you completely unaware that you were by her. Shugler, are you nearby this as well, perhaps?
Yeah, I think I would have gone over just to see what Garaz's up to, basically.
The other Varagoldru, Alf Bolgan, are all with you as well, and she kind of leans into you and says, I saw him. As if it wasn't a dream or a... stood looking at me over in the trees. Rusty.
Tell me, was he smiling?
He looked calm. I don't know. And then I looked away for a second to call for you, and he was gone. My watch is done.
You should get some rest.
She walks over to her bedroll and lies down. The next people take their watch. And the group slowly beds itself down for the night and tries to get some sleep through to the morning. Shugled, you wake in the morning fairly early, kind of sort of rouse yourself and look around. Someone needs to get the fire burning to get maybe some, boil some water for drinking, or just get breakfast started. And as you do so, your eyes look around you. You can see a couple of people on watch. You can see, let's say, Iaso and, I don't know, Arin out on watch. And then they fall to the bedrolls near you. Fosa is gone. Her weapons, her gear, her possessions. She's not here. And I think we'll end the episode there for now, folks. So, thank you so very much for watching. We'll do a bit of promo blurb, and then we'll address any questions or comments you have. If you have anything like that, please post it in the chat, and Steve, our wonderful stream manager, will pop it up on the screen for us to discuss. Although before all that happens, we're just going to have a wave of Elle, because Elle needs to pop off quickly. Thank you, Elle, as usual, and we will see you next time.
Thank you might be a bit stretching it.
Thank you for your presence, just not for your dice rolls. It's fine. So there we go. Thank you.
See you next time. Thank you for having me.
Bye. So yeah, a bit of promo. If you haven't noticed, we are Telling Tales. We run our own Twitch channel at Telling Tales RP. We'd be delighted if you came over there and joined us. If you hop over there as well, we've got a bunch of links in our About section. We've got links to our YouTube, where all our VODs are. There's hundreds of hours of entertainment there for you, as long as you are entertained by us doing our thing. We have links to our social media, to our Discord, where you can join and talk to us about all things Telling Tales and all things roleplay. And we've got links to our Patreon there if you want to support us as well. We run 3 weekly ongoing actual play series, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, each time at 8 o'clock in the evening BST. Obviously, adjust for your local time via the magic of Google. And currently, Mondays are Call of Cthulhu, which is run by Johnny. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are both run by me, and they are Blades in the Dark on Tuesday, which has just started. It started last week. And Coriolis is starting this Wednesday, which is obviously another Free League game. Speaking of Free League, thank you very much for letting us come and do this on your Twitch channel here. And we will return with more Fetters of Stone in 2 weeks' time. This is a fortnightly series, and we'll return in 2 weeks, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, BST. Same time, same Fetters time, same Fetters place. Yeah. John has just reminded me to say about the next scheduled stream here, which is usually Alien, but I actually have a feeling that Alien is not scheduled for today. But if someone can double check for me, because I am busy doing other things. So if they could double check for me, but I think Alien isn't on this evening. Could be wrong. I'm not sure if we've got any questions or comments. If you have them, throw them in. Otherwise, what's going on? How does everyone feel about that session? Any highlights? Any lowlights? Any good stuff? Bad stuff?
I wasn't prepared for the guilt that comes with killing characters too easily. I don't know how Elle must have dealt with this before, but
it's incredible how immediately you've just swapped places. Like you are the literal the goblin lawnmower, and Elle is the healer who cannot roll a dice.
We've gone from one murder tornado to another. From one sort of crap medic to another crap medic. It's true. It's true. So, no, carry on, John.
I was going to say you are correct. There is no Alien on later today.
Yeah, I thought there wasn't. I don't know if they're taking an off week or maybe they've wrapped up. But either way, no need to remind about them. I think that's about it. I don't think we've got any comments or questions. So, thank you again for watching. Thank you, Steve. For being an excellent stream manager. Thank you to all my wonderful players here. If you're interested, Telling Tales RP, that's where we are. And if not, enjoy more of what Free League offers here. And we're going to do an outro now. And we'll all be quiet because our mics can't be muted for it for various reasons. So, thank you.